a safe face, came to the wrong place. You raise a white flag, I keep the peace sign.
Open your eyes.
When you look into my eyes, tell me what do you see?
Tonight, I'm gonna show you the wonders of the mall.
Hey, I got nothing to lose, I got nothing to lose.
I need warriors.
So this is what you want, man. You wanna war, show me what's up, then. Now we ready to bust in. Take everything, leave 'em with nothing. Come on.
Paradise through dirt in our
الحياة لحن، ولأننا جزء من مقطوعة عظيمة تحركنا، تلمسنا، تصنع من لحظاتنا ذكريات بديعة. لأن الوجبة، التجربة، المغامرة يعطيك بعد جديد في هيلتون الرياض.
All new Honor Magic 5 Pro. Freeze even fleeting emotions in just milliseconds. Take marvelous night shots with lightning-fast exposure. The display reveals more details in bright areas with an astonishingly long battery life that just keeps going. The latest flagship chipset brings you exceptional performance. Unleash the power of magic. Honor Magic 5 Pro.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
Hi everyone, my nickname is Kitsune and we are from Serbia. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here, especially that last time I was in Riyadh, I won the tournament here. It's a LAN tournament, so of course it brings like warm like memories from here. And I'm super excited to meet all the people from the PUBG Mobile community, and it feels great, you know. First of all, we bought the phones that will be here on the tournament, and we had like really rough time adapting to this. But now we feel like really strong. We managed to analyze all the teams here, like especially the teams that we've never met at the tournaments, and now we feel like we are very strong. Our team strengths is that we are very good at holding our like positions. We know how to rotate, when to rotate, and we always know how to fight, when to fight, and we can be really aggressive when we need to. It's gotta be Alpha 7, you know, because like we meet them like every time. Our strategies, our like gameplay is very similar. They play Edge as well as we, so it's always will be hard time for us meeting them, because you know it's a 50-50 fight with them. We respect them. I mean, guys, if we knock you, you better run.
สวัสดีครับผมเชเวฟจากแวมไพร์อีสปอร์ตครับตำแหน่งแอทแทคเกอร์ครับมาจากประเทศไทยครับก็เริ่มเล่น PUBG มาตั้งแต่เกมเปิดครับแต่ว่าเริ่มมาแข่งตอนช่วงอายุ17ช่วงประมาณม.5 ม.6 ครับแล้วก็ที่มันเปลี่ยนชีวิตได้ก็คือคัดเข้าลีกโปรลีกของไทยได้ตอนซีซั่น2ครับแล้วก็อยู่ในลีกมาเรื่อยๆเลยครับแล้วก็จนถึงทุกวันนี้ก็แบบว่าซื้อทางสังกัดซื้อโทรศัพท์ที่ใช้แข่งมาให้พวกเราซ้อมก่อนที่จะมานี่ครับแล้วก็ซ้อมมาเรื่อยๆแบบที่ผ่านมาเราก็มีรายการแข่งมาตลอดอยู่แล้วแล้วก็เอาตรงนั้นซ้อมไปในตัวด้วยครับแล้วก็มาโฟกัสตรงนี้แล้วก็ทำตรงนี้ให้เต็มที่ครับก็ยังไงก็ความมั่นใจยังไงมันก็ต้องพกมาตลอดทุกการแข่งขันอยู่แล้วครับแล้วเราก็แบบแค่โฟกัสตรงนี้ให้มากกว่าเดิมครับผมที่ผ่านมาน่าเป็นเพราะว่าตำแหน่งเข้าทำมันต้องใช้เนตเข้าไปก่อนแล้วอะไรด้วยครับแล้วก็พอแบบน่าโชคดีเนตไปโดนด้วย อะไรหลายๆอย่างครับแต่ว่าถ้าให้เลือกได้ก็จะใช้ให้มันถูกไทมิ่งเฉยๆครับแล้วก็ถ้าให้ดีก็ซื้อถ้าให้ดีก็ใช้ DBS ดีกว่าครับ ไม่บอกอะไรมากครับแต่ว่าจะมาป้องกันแชมป์ให้ได้ครับ
मेरो नाम सुबिन कुमार प्रजापति हो म टिम डिआरएसबाट हो अनि हाम्रो टिम चाहिँ नेपालबाट हो हाम्रो चाहिँ अब सेकेन्ड टाइम हो अफिसियल ल्यान्ड चाहिँ अब एक्साइटेड नै छौँ हामी अब हामी यहाँ जित्नको लागि आएको छौँ त्यही हो अब हामीले चाहिँ यो टुर्नामेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब डिभाइसहरू किनेर प्र्याक्टिस गरिरहेको छौँ दिनदिनै अब टिमसँगै सबै चारैजना खेलेर एकअर्कासँग कोअर्डिनेसन बढाएर प्र्याक्टिस गर्दैछौँ हाम्रो चाहिँ टिमको सिनर्जी एकदम राम्रो छ इन गेम नभए नि बाहिरतिर नि सिनर्जी अझै बढिरहेको छ हाम्रो चाहिँ अब त्यही नै हो हामीलाई अब त्यस्तो डर लाग्ने टिम त छैन अब हामीले सबै टिमलाई चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन ठान्छौँ त्यो कारणले हामीलाई त्यस्तो डर भन्ने चिज चाहिँ छैन अब हामी नेपालको छोरो हो आउँदैछौँ हामी जितेर जानेछौँ जय गोर्खाली
Всем салам алейкум. Меня зовут Дамир, мой никнейм Акзер. Я играю за команду Falcons, и мы представляем нашу страну Казахстан. Я себя чувствую очень хорошо, тут очень круто, здорово, организация турнира на высшем уровне, наша команда готова, и мы покажем хороший результат. Мы готовились очень долго, потому что мы прошли через голосование, и у нас было достаточно времени на подготовку. Наши сильные стороны — это, наверное, наша атака, потому что мы очень агрессивная команда. Все команды здесь очень сильные, поэтому к каждой команде мы готовились, каждую команду анализировали. Поэтому не могу выбрать отдельные команды, потому что все очень сильные. Всем удачи, развлекайтесь, ребята.
AKM, Land, Vigendi, Irengal, Pochinki, Breeze, Tiger, UMP, AMR, Dacia.
Meu nome é Lucas, meu nickname é Carrilho, meu time é Alpha 7 e somos do Brasil. Bom, é um evento muito importante para nossa carreira. A gente já esteve aqui ano passado e é muito bom estar aqui de novo, é uma cidade que a gente se identifica. É um pouquinho calor, mas não tem problema. Bom, a preparação ela vem de 6 meses para cá, a gente treinou para Pmwi Brasil, para Pmwi Américas, mas consecutivamente a gente estava treinando para a Pmwi, para estar aqui hoje. Eu acho que o que faz a gente ser tão forte é ter jogadores individualmente muito bons e não ter um padrão de jogo. Isso é o que nos faz forte. Bom, eu acho que não tem nenhum time específico ou algum jogador específico. Eu acho que todos têm muita chance de ganhar e a gente é mais um time aqui em busca do título. Bom, o que eu tenho a falar para eles é que tomem cuidado com a gente. Sempre vai ser assim, essa sempre será a mensagem e é isso. Tomem cuidado.
ครับก็สวัสดีครับผมนูซี่นะครับจากทีมแวมไพร์สปอร์ตนะครับจากประเทศไทยนะครับเล่นตำแหน่งแอคแท็กเกอร์ประจำทีมครับก็สำหรับความรู้สึกครับก็รู้สึกดีใจครับที่ได้มาเล่นในรายการแข่งขันระดับโลกแล้วกันครับก็เป็นเหมือนรางวัลชิงแชมป์โลกเป็นแชมป์โลกประจำปีกลางปีครับก็ถือว่าดีใจครับก็เต็มที่ครับกับรายการนี้ครับก็สำหรับการเตรียมตัวก็มีสังกัดคอยซัพพอร์ตแล้วครับเรื่องอุปกรณ์หรือว่าอะไรเงี้ยก็หลักๆก็เป็นของการซ้อมภายในทีมครับเรื่องของการคุยแผนกันอะไรเงี้ยก็สำหรับทีมของพวกผมในการเล่นครับก็น่าจะเป็นเรื่องของทีมไฟและการสื่อสารครับน่าจะเด่นในเรื่องการสื่อสารและทีมไฟก็สำหรับผมผมยังไม่ได้มองทีมไหนเป็นปัญหาเพราะผมส่วนตัวเลยผมยังไม่เคยเจอทีมอื่นๆนะครับแต่สำหรับภายในทีมก็น่าจะเป็นบอสแมปแล้วนะครับก็เป็นอัลฟาเซเว่นครับก็อยากจะบอกทีมอื่นนะครับก็เดี๋ยวรอเจอกันในสนามครับรอบนี้แวมไพร์ก็จะมาเอาแชมป์เหมือนเดิมครับขอคิงไว้ก่อน
Dragging us down, face on the ground, but still we so proud. Just look at the crowd, making some noise, making some sound. We ain't got a choice, they're hearing us now.
And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, here to the PUBG Mobile World Invitational Main Tournament. Live here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I am Hot Jukes. Right next to me is the legendary Calaris. I want to thank everybody for their patience as we're getting started here today. But there's $2 million on the line here. I'm excited. How are you feeling, Cal?
Feeling good, feeling fresh. We have got ourselves ahead of us 6 games between what I believe to be one of the most stacked lobbies in PUBG Mobile history. I don't know if it was a PUBG Mobile history. PUBG Mobile history. It is going to be a good time, especially with these main event tournament teams coming in looking good to go. But the teams coming in from the All-Stars, they're going to have had significant warm-up. So maybe that gives them a little bit of a leg up. We'll see, we'll see.
And you know what? They're going to need it, to be honest, because the teams that have qualified here already are some absolute monsters, some legends of PUBG Mobile, and we're looking at one of them right here. So let's see how this is all going to turn out. I know you guys watching are as just excited as I am. One thing I really love about this tournament, as well as I like the additional little perks here. We have the record breakers as well, whoever gets the most chicken dinners. A lot of incentives for these players to pick up some extra cash.
Definitely so. Definitely here as we have everybody getting good to go. It will be Sandhawk to start things off. As you can see, all these teams getting ready here for this. Now, one big thing compared to the All-Stars is that we're back to 16-team lobby compared to the 18 here, Hot Jukes, which means everybody's kind of going back to the idea of how much room that they're going to have usually on those drop spots. We could see some hot drops, of course, but it's going to make those rotations a little bit easier for these teams to try and get used to and adjust.
100%. Well, let's see how adjusted they are as we're starting to see these teams lock up. One thing that's really advantageous for these squads, too, is the fact that we're back to a 16-team lobby. That's going to make this Sandhawk a lot nicer and a lot sweeter.
Definitely so. All right, let's get into it, Hot Jukes. Let's do it.
Here we go. Match number 1 of the PMWI main tournament, presented to you by Honor Magic 5 Pro. We can already see these players. They're dropping into the lobby, and always, every time we have the first tournament of the day, first game, I am looking to see if we were going to see any hot drops. Usually these teams have already done their homework. They've already kind of done their handshakes before the match, because you really want to avoid those hot drops at all costs. It's just not worth it at this level. Even if you do beat that team, you're most likely going to lose a player or two, and that's going to make things that much harder for you.
That's for sure, that's for sure. I did wonder how they were going to remedy the STE tagline versus STE tagline. So we see SZ STE up at the top here for 628. And then meanwhile, we have Stalwart dropping in boot camp. So if you're keeping track of those two teams, we got you good to go.
Yes, you are indeed. And it looks like, Gladiators are going to have a couple players nearby them. They do love that Camp Alpha mountainside range, so they're really hoping that first zone goes to them. But so far, so good. Doesn't look like we see any teams really getting too close to each other.
Yeah. Oh, and a mainland circle to get things going, as mainland as you can call the big island. But one slight change we've seen here, whilst we have this Paradise Resort going down, is that Gladiators had to move their drop spot a little bit, but I can talk about it in a moment.
Yep, we'll talk about that in just a second as we're watching GK go up against D plus Kia in Paradise Resort. Ragnar up on the roof, gets one, looking to get another, but he's waiting for his teammates. He wants to be able to get a little bit more room. Yeah, he jumps off, says, you know what? I got one. I need the rest of my squad to help me out for the rest.
Especially smart because he saw a second head coming his way, right? Just over the lip of that building, so you do not want to be taking that 2v1 situation when two players could be trying to jump shot you.
Especially with an M16 in hand. If he would have had a DBS, maybe it was something different. But right now, with that M16, he's got to play things very carefully. D plus Kia were able to get a full reset off. GK, unfortunately, do lose a player in the process, so they're going to be down a man here, and they're at a huge disadvantage.
Definitely so. And we've seen D plus Kia be very strong when it came to kind of the long stay engagements that would go down, but at the same time here, this is kind of really on their doorstep. They're going to have to change gears a little bit and eventually take this fight fast, because, I mean, it's faster than most of their engagements in the All-Stars.
This is what I think is the reason why D plus Kia is such a threat. They are so patient. Even though they have the man advantage, they want another knock. They don't want to risk it. They say, okay, we know that we're up. let's just take our time and slowly creep on GK, hopefully get another knock, and then it's going to be easy pickings from there.
Definitely so. Okay, if there's a lull in this for the moment, actually, no, I still can't talk about the Gladiators situation until this one is concluded. So we do have a QBZ in hand, and Hythe will be able to get Forest straight away.
Forest with getting knocked here is going to even the fight here. GK Forest from the Satan actually does go down. That makes things tough. But D plus Kia with their teamwork working so well together. And now Ragnar versus Fabian. This is going to be a huge fight. I love the fact that he does go for those finishes, wants to eliminate all the information that they have, leaving Fabian completely blind.
Very important. Now it's 2v1 advantage. One's going to go for the res here, whilst the other one's trying to get out the angle, using that perspective to try and get that scan going on. QBZ trying to go for that trade. Reinforcements coming along. Has to abandon the res. Will finish it off. And we see a full team wipe. If they can get them on their feet, that's a huge win for D plus Kia.
Fabian with 3 eliminations to his name. And this is what I really like about this team is you could see right when one got low, they immediately backtracked, waited for their teammate to come and support them.
Yes.
And it was just back and forth because even though they were really hard hit, they wanted to make sure they didn't lose one player.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Really low, but great recovery there from D plus Kia. Okay, so Rejects Tokyo, which is actually one of the teams we really need to talk about because of that Gladiators situation earlier. Gladiators, they dropped differently compared to what they normally do. They didn't drop anybody at Trifecta because they saw Rejects dropping there. They then rendezvoused together with 2, pushed Trifecta, eliminated the member of Rejects that was there, and now they've had to rotate away. So a slight adaptation from Gladiators, but then they punished the people that were encroaching on their territory, which was very smart, and maybe that might ward off Reject Tokyo in future Sandhawk games.
Absolutely. Gladiators want that Northwestern Island to themselves. So, you know, knocking out a player from Reject Tokyo, scaring them off, is going to help them out. They didn't get the zone this time, but, you know, setting yourself up for future matches is what kind of sets you up for a championship position, like you mentioned earlier. So next zone, the first zone does go on up. It is going to be right in the center of mainland. Nothing too out of the normal. Gladiators, Vampire, DRS, all teams that need to push in.
Definitely, definitely. And with what you were saying about kind of setting yourself up for success later on, especially a location like Trifecta, which can become such an important anchor point for transitions between each of the islands. So yeah, they were very keen to make sure they said, hello, we are here, this is ours, please go away. But you can see them looting up, and they'll be coming a little bit later. But thankfully for them, with the circle the way it is, there is great transition methods still that are available to them, like that North Bridge, for example.
And once you know, it's such a high skill lobby. Honestly, it makes rotations out of circle even easier because you have so many teams that know where they need to be. The second that zone pops, they automatically leave those edges. They take those center positions. So those teams on the edge have a little bit more room to breathe as opposed to some of the earlier stages where some squads may be scared and linger on those edges for a little too long.
Yeah, you can compare it to day number 1 of the All-Stars, right? Where we saw a lot more edge play compared to confident center sends. But in a lobby like this, where, again, I'm going to reiterate it, I think this is one of the most stacked lobbies of all time. I think that these guys will be happy to go center, happy to take those early compounds, happy to commit to them. And on Sandhawk, sometimes the transitions are a bit difficult, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to gamble for it.
You know, I was talking to the coach from Alpha 7, and he was just elaborating just on that himself. You know, how his team is so comfortable, and we've seen it before plenty of times, where Alpha 7 could have another squad pushing another and say, you know what, even though we can take them out right now, it may be better just to let them push and then we'll third party later.
True.
As opposed to a lot of other nervous teams that are just like, see something, shoot at it.
Yes,
you know, these teams, even though they're so close together, they know the big picture and they're comfortable being so close together.
I love hearing things like that because, as you say, trigger discipline in those moments can oftentimes lead to that team dislodging a problem for you elsewhere. So you kind of use the lobby against itself a little bit here. But we're going to get that shift coming in. Where are we going to go? Then we can get down to the nitty-gritty of some of the terrain that we're going to end up in.
Oh, yes, we are. You can see these teams locked and loaded, already kind of placing their bets of where this next zone is going to go. We'll see where it is. I love this new zone system as it does go a little bit to that northwestern side. So we got a lot of water in play. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult as it does reduce the amount of spots available. But this is a very common circle. I mean, every player is going to know where they need to be.
Yeah, a few really important compounds between, I would say, Paradise Resort and Boot Camp, and then southeast of boot camp as well. We're going to see a lot of teams start rocking up to these compounds. That line down the middle between the two locations is very, very sought after. And look at that. Good old Stalwart is going to be taking up residency in quite a few of these locations. Likewise, so is Reject Tokyo, though. They're already in an okay spot.
Well, one thing I want to ask you here, Kalar, is first time us, casting together a tournament of this size.
We're having a good time.
Why don't we go ahead and I would like to ask you a question of C. What are the advantages you think for a team starting off so strong in day number 1?
Well, I mean, looking at this lobby and how it plays out, when you're able to establish some decent dominance, when you're able to get center positions and show that you're not able to be pushed around, it does kind of ward teams from making big pushes against you. And unfortunately, Rejects is not one of those teams. They're losing people slowly. So, I mean, when you have this kind of dynamic going on, the opposite side of what you're asking, teams start preying on you quickly. They see you as victims almost sometimes. So you got to be careful.
100%. And we've already could tell this is a huge LAN tournament here, guys. We don't really stress enough just how big nerves come into play. And if you have those nerves come into this and you start off with your players getting picked off little by little, it could definitely hurt you. So we'll have to see. One thing I love to see from squads is teams that have that ability to bounce back, because that is the hardest thing to do at this level.
Yeah, it's going to play mind games with you. It gets into your head. And so far, I mean, it's only really Sarah and one already down as well here from the distance. Twisted Minds, though, will have a knock themselves. Sarah's back up and good to go. Well, actually, I was able to get his teammate up even, I should say, as Duelo's going to heal up here as well. But again, looking at where Reject is, they are scrappy at the moment, salvaging a situation where losing 2 early on is pretty deadly.
These shots are ridiculous. I mean, that guy barely peeked for a second. Instantly knocked out of there. Let's take a look at this little replay here as Lupa, monster player himself, just, man, like we mentioned, we got dislodged by Gladiators, lost 1 player, and due to that spread out, now they just seem to be getting picked apart. With 2 players up, it's not going to be the start that they're looking for, but Reject Tokyo has plenty of skill in the bag. Hopefully we can see them bounce back.
What scares me as well for Reject Tokyo, whilst we're still on kind of the topic of them, is they've got Fireflux on a hill where I've seen Fireflux win games from. When it comes to these kinds of circles, they're very familiar with this kind of lip, with this hill. They are kind of in the 2-2 split right now, but honestly, Rejects is very vulnerable to them eventually having a little bit of a peek over. Thankfully, there's quite a bit of tree coverage, but some of these players can see through those trees pretty well, man.
Oh, yes, indeed. You can see Duelo looking for any little pixel that is out of place, and you got to have that eyesight on point because there are going to be plenty of snakes in the grass here. Still a ton of players are remaining, 15 teams, as GK is the only one to go out. Next zone about to pop.
And that's the important thing about 15 teams still alive that you're bringing up here. When the skill of the lobby gets higher, more people survive longer into the game. So there's less room to work with as the circle shifts hard east here. So again, as I said, Fireflux, man, that ridge that they like to play here, it's served them well in the past, and it could serve them well in this game too.
Now, I'll tell you what, edge play is going to be a lot harder than before.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of those teams that depended on edge play in earlier tournaments, they would see those weaker teams, those scared to be central squads, and just absolutely dominate them, get those eliminations up early, and then see what happens. But there are no weak teams in this lobby. Every single player here is an absolute beast. So even if you find a player on the edge of zone, you got to make sure you execute everything to perfection.
Okay, big rotations going on, but look at this. Compared to what we were seeing in All-Stars, honestly, you would have 4 teams eliminated by now or something like that. Everyone's playing it very patiently, very cautiously. They know what's on the line for every single game. 18 games actually doesn't end up adding up to that much, really, across the 3 days. And especially when it's the first one, you really want momentum on your side. As Revo, going to shoot towards box gaming, as box formation may come into play, but they are going to be on the edge with that box formation.
Yeah, starting off strong is going to be so important. You ward off teams from dropping into your location. You make teams possibly even hesitate when they fight against you, when they realize it's you. So many advantages coming up for those teams. And of course, you know, those teams that don't start off strong, it's in the complete opposite direction. Gladiators, like we talked about earlier, they do have the advantage of playing on the All-Star stage. We heard Kitsune talk a little bit earlier how his team purchased these devices a little earlier on. He got the training for it.
Yeah,
and he had that all-star stage to get used to it as well. So this team is going to have a major advantage to the teams that are coming in here just today.
Yeah, they're coming to the circle, though, quite late. So let's see if they can make that work. Already, a lot of these compounds been taken up. A lot of good ridges in the middle been taken up. My question marks revolve around DRS. They're rotating far on the south. A spray goes in. Not going to be hitting anything, though, for Senate.
These are those kind of sprays that always give me a big question mark, because even if Alpha 7 does hit this knock, they're not pushing this.
They're going to pick him up straight away.
Yeah. So, you know, it's really risky. You're most likely going to lose a little bit of health, but he does hit a couple shots. So maybe possibly looking to eliminate their armor here going into this next circle.
DRS coming in from the south side of the circle by listening. Or they might go for... This is a huge wrap by DRS. It's bold, and I kind of like it. They're going to be coming in... Okay, no, they are
South
coming
side.
on precisely the south side. And that's not as wide as I thought it was going to be, so never mind.
Yeah. I mean, they did do a little bit of a wrap, but I mean, they
yeah.
did send it right here to the edge. This is going to be a tough one for them. We do see Senatexa get one knock there onto T plus Kia. I believe that's going to be two. So with two knocks, if they're going to push, that's going to be the time to do it. But with how many teams are close by, it is so difficult to push these kinds of plays. Timing is everything. You push too soon, and you can get third party. You push too late, you can get third party. So next zone does come on up. And regardless, you got to move no matter what.
Already, D plus Kia been through the wars as Infinity IQ is going to be pushing up against them. Satan down once again. Actually, second knock for him. So you don't want to be getting knocked many more times here. It will be difficult to get someone up in that scenario if they do. But Infinity IQ knows that they must push this location and eventually quite aggressively.
Vampire going up against Twisted Minds. Here comes a big battle here. 4v4. Schweppes does have those angles. He's going to throw that jump nade. Ooh, gets beat up pretty bad, but he hits the nade onto Dami. That leaves one player up for Twisted Minds. We should see a full send here from Vampire.
Difficult to deal with this as another nice nade was going their way. Didn't quite connect with as much as I thought it would, though. A bit of a push-up. Two, trying to push on this. Crypto not with too much opportunity here to get this going. He's sticking the res. This is very bold. He's now going to have to remove, considering Ravenclaw was looking for the off angle.
DBS is out. Here we go, Ravenclaw. He's got the advantage. Oh, and Nade does it, though. And that is Twisted Minds out early. And our All-Star Stage champion starting off strong.
Rough stuff for Twisted Minds. Box are going to be taking a fight against Alpha 7 down towards the bottom. It is going to get so crowded here, Hot Jukes, as now Box has found Carrillo. He's going to go down. Senna is in the smoke with a DBS prone. He could be the snake in the grass they need.
Here he comes. Pops out. Gets one DBS shot. Gets another. Looking for the double play. The nade comes out, but he gets knocked in the process. So Box Gaming down 2 players, but Alpha 7 is hurt big time. I believe it's only one up. Yeah, that's going to be Revo, the last one player up for him.
Trying to make something happen here, but it's very, very difficult. Even if they do, Box has already done a significant amount of damage here to be able to make this go.
I think if you're Revo, you got to push here. Like, you just got to send it at this point.
So
I mean,
don't get the reses, etc.
Yeah, because your teammates are already going to be down and out, and the chances of you even surviving for placement points here in the Sandhawk is like practically zero.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Again, with the amount of people that are still alive here during all of this. Alpha 7 is gone, though. That's them down in 13th place. Here comes Vampire, pushing on Rejects. This is actually such a great opportunity for them because this team was already wounded. Jula is going to go down. Sarah's charging a nade. Unless they group up massively, this isn't getting much done. It's not bad. Where's it gone?
Does he hit it? He does! And Tony K's down to 1 HP. Sarah, oh my gosh, catching another player. He catches Matic off guard. Another nade here. Good, he did. Oh, but his back gets shot. And he is out of there.
A lot of words about Rosemary. Pundits looking at him as a great player here to be able to knock it out of the park. Tony K, though, in the distance. There was a molly on this rock, not actually catching him off. And then Smoke even blocking a little bit of vision, but 3 players here.
Rosemary completely out of utility, so he is stuck in a position. But here comes the rest of his team. Potato coming up close. You see he's got that nade locked in hand. Vampire on the back ropes. Going to have to hit some major shots, but they're actually getting helped out from all sides. That's going to be Stalwart there with a huge off-lane alter ego.
Makes it all the harder when teams survive this long, and they will be taken out here on the push. Vampire shut down.
Oh, man. Center circle being so advantageous here. Stalwart holding it down, but look at this. This is 628 with the DPS. Getting the double knock on the Infinity IQ. Kaidula gonna have to make a play here from this tree. He has to watch his teammates go down, but you can see Falcon Esports in the back looking to clean this up.
Yep, you've got to take all these third-party opportunities whenever you can. But the problem with Sandhawk is sometimes you can even be fourth-partied, etc. With how many teams still alive, the terrain, the way it works on out here. Ferrari charging up that nade, going across the hill. He was hit as well by a nade. Punching King takes a bit of damage.
Sunan going and getting that secure. Very, very important for his team. He has 3 eliminations, so he is definitely starting things off for 628. Meanwhile, you got Falcons on the edge of the circle. Papa Blue coming in hot. This is stage number 5. Blue zone hurts real bad.
Yes, it does. You got to be careful about this. Ferrari lying down prone, actually sees Falcons members in the distance here. Look at you can see the pixels on the head, but he's not going to take the shots just yet. Yang actually knocks him from the other side of things to get things going, and trying to go for Punching King straight away will get him. Tries to go for the flush, doesn't get the flush though, and but he was stolen, I think, from shots from Ketch.
Catch. I mean, these players are picking up these steal elimination points like crazy. This team was on the thin side of the circle, so they had a little bit of time to be able to push in, but they're not going to be able to get a break at all. We're seeing teams drop like crazy. Meanwhile, Stalwart have the strongest position, and they are big chilling in the compound.
Look at that. Surprise, surprise. Oh, and the circle. I mean, honestly, Stalwart, they drop boot camp. They had the pick of the litter when it came to compounds, and they are not going to squander it here, as they're going to have a few teams trying to push up against them. And also, we're watching this go down here. 628 is having a bit of a rough time.
Oh, yes, they are. They're going to be forced to try and push into this next zone. Meanwhile, Falcon Esports are right there next to him. TQ with a huge off angle. Going to go ahead and apply some pressure.
Coexisting.
Meanwhile, yeah, they are coexisting for just a little bit, but they're going to have to start pushing into this next circle. There's only 15 seconds left on the clock.
No way they didn't check that Fabian was there. That is actually quite dangerous.
Uh-oh.
You really need to cover these shacks because I don't really think he made that many noise cues either whilst the circle is going to be closing.
Steal.
Big spray from 6. Able to hit it.
Taking up all those points he can get. Meanwhile, Stalwart refusing to give up this location. Doing a great job of holding this down, that YOLO push. Oh, I thought we were going to see a little bit of shenanigans there from that nade.
This is actually quite dangerous for Stalwart because, of course, they were separated across this compound. This big push in by Tiamba could cause some problems, but they're holding well so far. They're also shooting at Gladiators from the opposite side. DBS coming in at hand here for Stalwart, trying to clear them out. They completely crush them. Stalwart doesn't even take a knock.
Bang! 4 eliminations for Stalwart, and the best position in this zone is definitely their game to win. Meanwhile, we're seeing a lot of action here on the edge of the zone. Falcon Esports down to 1 player, but they do have 7 eliminations. Alter Ego with 2.
Nice.
Meanwhile, having 7 as well, so that's going to definitely offset their finish here.
Man, Rosemary was just shooting everything, and he continues to do so. Kitsune in the distance will get absolutely obliterated from across the way, and that's quite the distance there across compounds. So Stalwart's in the circle again, but they're hearing these shots zing across them from side to side. They must be so content with this.
100%. They're looking for that chicken dinner, but you know, this is one of those dream zones that you get. You want to be able to get that chicken with a lot of eliminations, but these teams on the edge, like Alter Ego, with 8 elims to the name right now, they are crushing it.
Honestly, at the same time, though, for Sandhawk, sometimes you're just content with getting the victory and a handful of elims here and there. It's the kind of game that you're like, well, thank God we didn't get caught on the edge of these zones with all of these other teams, right? As Ketch has actually pushed up for Fireflux, but I don't know if anybody's going to deal with Stalwart here.
Yeah, 628 was definitely one of those squads. Meanwhile, Gladiators forced to push in the middle of that. Blow the play zone. Papa Blue taking down McHugh is going to make things very difficult. Tixie misses those shots. That is going to hurt. And Stalwart makes him pay for it.
They're gonna destroy everybody on every angle here. Stalwart keeps escaping at low health. They just keep falling back to cover. They're taking the angles they need to. They're not over-aggressing on this. If the circle goes their way once again, they couldn't be more blessed.
And Gladiators knew the situation. They stayed in the blue zone, and they denied the points to Stalwart. In that scenario, that is the best thing that you could do.
I'm so impressed by Stalwart's ability to hold both sides of the road on this compound. They've been so good about it. At the same time, though, this could cause problems. Fireflux and them have been able to push up against this, so maybe this divide and conquer tactic might work.
Well, Potato is up close. Top is completely separated. They can take the advantage here with a 2v1, but now it's turned into a 1v1. Potato is going to get a finish. That is 9 eliminations. Huge game here for Alter Ego.
Massive, massive here, especially as I say on a Sandhawk, where usually it's all very spread out. The elims flying in thick and fast as Fireflux here. They've turned their attention towards Alter Ego, trying to shut them down just in case they can only scrap for a second place.
Solus going down. Fireflux gonna have to jump out that back window if they want to get the res. Meanwhile, Potato hard chilling in the building. Oh, and he does go down. So Solus getting picked underneath the building. Meanwhile, Fireflux, here comes Papa Blues. This is stage 9. It's gonna go down to nothing. What a shot from Lutz.
What a shot here. Fireflux really contending and trying to push on against this, though. They're on fire, trying to get out of this situation. It's not going to be easy. Potato actually able to shut them down. He's able to scrap second place from this here, as Star-Lord should be able to get the first.
Potato is hungry. He's got the Uzi.
No
it's a
way.
1v1.
No way.
Potato.
No way.
Looking to steal the chicken dinner from Stalwart with the jump shot. DBS. It's going to be a Stalwart Esports chicken dinner. That was way too close.
That was too close for comfort for Stalwart. They thought they had that in the bag for so long in this game, and yes, they do. But Alter Ego, man, what a play from Potato to be able to get that as close as it was.
I mean, of their whole entire team to even get Potato to that stage.
Yes.
Stalwart had to do nothing. All they had to do was sit back and shoot at anything that moved at them. Alter Ego, they had a very difficult rotation into that zone, and they made it all the way to the end. That was nuts.
That is relatively difficult, very, very difficult, I'm going to say, on Sanhok especially. To be playing the edge like that, to be down to 2, to be able to kind of eke out each situation as it comes their way. Very impressed by Alter Ego, but Stalwart, man, they held this down in Stalwart fashion. They held it down like a fortress. They eliminated threats in kind of that 2-2 split across the road again, which is very impressive. Oftentimes you have to get together on one side of the road to hold it down.
100%. Yeah, usually you have to go ahead and group up, focus on one team at a time, but they made that 2-2 split work for them. Absolute insanity here to start off our main stage tournament. It's exactly what I expected. Absolute insanity. Let's go ahead and take it on over to Jason Kaplan and the rest of the desk to see them break it down for us.
Well, break it down is something we definitely need to do here, because that was a spicy way to start off the main tournament here at PMWI. Alter Ego, a fantastic push, as we saw, by Potato. But Max, I mean, just throw it to Max. Just get him on camera. Get him a solo shot. He's happy.
I mean, a stalwart win, finally. This is the best start I could expect from the main tournament, right? It's a good time.
We were wondering.
Not an easy compound to hold down because you're split, but they made up for the weaknesses in so many good ways here. And I really want to dive deep into it because it was such a good game to kick off the event.
It was, and I felt like they showed us what we've been wanting to see out of other teams, right? When they get blessed. It wasn't even blessed by the zone because they were able to rotate so well. But they just, the synergy was there. They were able to move alongside with each other. It was just so good. I can't wait to talk more about it.
I mean, to do plays the way they did and at the speed at which they did it, the communication needs to be a 10 out of 10. And in that game, it really was.
Same with Alter Ego. I mean, for them to be able to do that with just 2 players after being able to survive a lot of stuff too, being able to take on fights with other teams, it was impressive.
So do I hear some Alter Ego fanboys here on the desk?
Maybe.
No more Alpha 7, it's Alter Ego.
We'll get to Alpha 7.
Alter Ego 7?
Alter 7?
Oh.
A7. It's still A7.
I think we're onto something, just like we're onto the Honor Magic 5 Pro, powered by Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and Honor self-developed GPU Turbo X. Big shout out to them as all the players are playing on one of these awesome devices. And well, it helped Stalwart get the victory. Which, honestly, Max, I mean, we were watching it together, and he was just getting jittery. He was getting excited. He was like, they did such a good rotation, then they did this, and now there's a lot to talk about.
The whole game was really good.
There's a lot to talk about here, so why don't you take a look at the match rankings so we can dive into some of these teams in particular, because it's all about the points. And Alter Ego had a lot of eliminations behind that second place finish.
Yeah, actually, I thought at some point they somewhat saved Vampire Esport from Sora, from Reject, and I was like, okay, they kind of helped out the team. It's not going to be that easy to take away, but man, they're still scoring here. 10 eliminations on the game 7. Alter Ego coming in with a bang, which I would say aggressiveness is aggressivity, if you, well, that's my word, which both work. Was something that was lacking from this team back in the PMGC Grand Finals. But adding Rosemary and Potato more specifically is looking even more aggressive in these fights is exactly the change we expected.
I was just so impressed the way they were able to play that edge. It was so wonderful, especially when DRS tried to push on them. By the way, DRS tried to do a very, very wide rotation, and it backfired when they ran into Alter Ego. And looking at here. Which one?
Vampire, man.
Yeah.
6 eliminations, and they went out in 11th place. Like, we're talking about the defending champions. They were actually in a fight. Let me take a look at my notes. Up against Reject, right?
And Twisted Minds, yeah.
And, funny enough, guess who saved them?
Alter Ego.
Guess who eliminated them? Alter Ego.
It was a very nadeable mini compound. So it was the moment you knew you were going to get pushed away because of the blue zone, you had that kind of like rush factor. You had to leave ASAP. You were not going to make it out. But yeah, Vampire, still a few eliminations. Sure, 0 placement, but that's the thing. Even a bad game for Vampire, it still results in a few points coming their way. So it's not going to allow them to fall too far behind on this first game.
I gotta give a shout out as well here to Falcons, like for them to get 7 eliminations in that first match. I know it's Sandhawk, but it's still a lot of elims to put up. D+ as well getting 6. You had Vampires we saw get 6, and then Fireflux getting 5. Like we saw some teams picking up some pretty good eliminations. And again, considering the delays we had, which is very hard to keep your mental state to kind of stay focused, I think it's kind of impressive and shows the caliber of these teams.
And I think that's the main thing, right? The main thing that we've been hyping up about the main event. Every single team has that fragging power, and I think we're going to be we're especially going to be seeing it in Sandhawk, but I can't wait to see what's going to be happening there in Gale as well, because I think we're going to be able to see it even more, right? With the rotation, with being able to work with more space.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't get voted in, right? All of these teams qualified for a reason because they can back up their spot in the main tournament with great gameplay right here. Though we had some great moments, and I mean, the DBS is still the DBS. Nothing to say too much about that one, but once again, the way they just played around this compound, the synergy from them is so good. And the Zed, once again...
Your player to watch?
My player to watch, for a reason, up here, top damage and maybe top eliminations. They're all pretty close to one another. Oh, actually, Icy's up there. Okay, the other pickup.
But you can see the big impact that those 2 players, the ones that we're talking about, the new addition, I mean, Icy and Nerset, 4 elims, being able to back it up too. And I mean... Top, you know
0 healing for top.
He's really not moving from that one compound. I mean, they barely moved. They were from boot camp, went to the hilltop northeast of boot camp, then into that Trifecta Road compound. It's good movements.
I actually like the rotation out of them with North boot camp. They had that 2-2 split, and then they decided to move on together, which I really appreciate, especially here in Sandhawk, and especially with how compact everything was.
Not only that, also, the moment they moved to that hilltop, after they close up that 2-2 split, they send the Zerd into the Trifecta of the road, and the moment they see Gladiators get close enough, they just instantly pull back. No, they don't want to take that fight head-to-head into the compound, which, luckily enough for them, the circle ends up going, but the execution after that was absolutely magnificent.
Well, the thing was, right, Stalwart, as I think John put it, actually, they're just playing tower defense here, pretty much, right, inside the compound. But I bring it up in particular because we did see Tianba try to go for a game-winning play, and I wanted you to actually break that down for us, Max.
That's actually the big standout for me in this game in particular. One weakness when you're holding on to those road Trifecta compounds is you have to be relatively split to have information and to know when teams are pushing your way. The instant Tianba make it, like, I think in a 50-meter radius of the compound, they just regroup as a 2-2. I think it's Icy and the Zerd that actually regroup together, and they can just gatekeep the entirety of Tianba. And because Tianba just arrived, they can just chuck mollies, utility, push it to close off the last few eliminations if needed. The communication set of it, I really have to say, it was just so on point, and that compound is not easy to defend.
Actually, go ahead, and then I'll bring up my point.
It's pretty much what Max was saying, this synergy and then being able to just be on the same page. If somebody is going to be pushing on them, being able to back up your teammate, and that's something that a lot of teams tend to lack. They just kind of leave that player alone by himself, and we kind of see that out of Gladiators, right? Even Nitsuna was able to tell...
It's the opposite, almost.
Yeah, Nitsuna was able to tell me, you know what, we're not going to send all our players in, we're going to be just sending 2, but you can see Stalwart Esports, they will send 1, and if the needs for it, they're going to be sending the other players as well.
Oh, you did also say, Max, though, looking at that crash again that we saw at Tianba, Gladiators could have actually crashed that as well around the same time, and that would have decimated Stalwart potentially.
I was expecting it to come out from all Gladiators or Fireflux. Actually, no team was actually willing to go for that move. I think Fireflux did try to initiate something once Gladiators started to go for the push, but the defense system, well, the tower defense really, as John stated earlier in the green room, that was set up by them was just too strong that you just didn't have the time to third party, because even after they eliminate Gladiators, there's still 4 players alive. Nobody goes down, so they can instantly be on the pivot, on the pivot for another fight versus Fireflux, and they're just an absolute force to be reckoned with.
Well, we can see here some highlights from the last match as well, and honestly, it was kind of a bloodbath off the beginning. We saw Dam1 plus Kia, or Dam1 plus Kia, D plus Kia. Oh man, they changed the name so many times, it's a headache. Up against GK, and they were able to eliminate them pretty quickly, but I feel like we got to a point, I don't know what zone it was, I want to say like around 4, where we had like 15 teams left alive, and then you like blink and you open them again. It's a very long blink, obviously. And then we had like 7 or 8 left. Like there's obviously a very slow play in towards some of these later zones. You were saying, Max, that it's going to be hard for any team to survive the push.
I think the moment you're mentioning like phase 4, 5, something like that, there's a lot of dips of hiding spaces for those teams, but the moment the circle's centered towards that road trifecta, you don't have those hiding spots anymore, so you're going to be forcing fights. I think in the south you had 5, 6 teams, something like that, and pretty much the
everybody
circle
was
shifted.
in the north.
Exactly. The moment that circle shifted, all those teams got eliminated because if you're on the high ground or in the compound, you're just going to win.
And that's something that ended up helping Alter Ego, because Alter Ego, once they clear Vampire Esports, they had that Southwest to themselves, and it ended up benefiting them in a big way, especially with just 2 players playing the edge and letting everybody in the north just take care of each other.
Real question for both of you. If Vampire was able to fend off Reject and fend off Alter Ego, do you think they could have won this? Obviously, there's a lot of things that could have happened, right?
I think in Star Wars, they positioned themselves so well that they would have been able to defend it regardless.
Yeah, too good.
Okay. Well, I'm starting to hear the music going, and I'm hoping I'm not being teased this time, as it looks like the players are about to kick things off. Going into Erringo, though, for our first time of the day, I want to hear your predictions of who's going to take this match. Max Man, go.
Damwon Kia, let's go.
Really?
No,
I'm not the only one that said it.
Vampire Esports.
Vampire?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Well, you know what? Max Man, I'm going to go for the back-to-back. I'm going to go for Stalwart.
They're going to pull a Vampire.
Well, keep in mind, we have the record breakers, right? If they can get 3 in a day, they win, I believe, about $25,000 for themselves as well to add to the tally of their soon-to-come 400,000.
Whoa.
That's it. I mean, I predicted before the event started that they would be the team to win, and I'm not going to back down.
You know what? I would love it. Action has got the most eliminations from actually last year. If Top beats it, that would be a great storyline. I'd love to see that happen.
You think?
Yeah.
You think Top's going to beat it?
Maybe Nazet.
I was about to say, come on.
Could happen
You got to
too.
stick to it. Stick
Could
to your
happen.
player to
Or
watch.
IC2, he was top fragger there. Who knows?
Okay. Well, I did get you baited there. We're not going to be going to game.
Just cool music.
Just cool music.
Yeah.
But also, what we could look at, something we did have planned, Alter Ego player stats.
Yes.
Because as you see, they had 10 eliminations, right? And I actually want to see where they kind of were allocated across the roster for them, because we are going to be looking quite heavily into who's the star players for these teams.
No surprise there being able to see Rosemary with the top damage, because he was the one that was able to take it. I love the hair, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, the hair color buff. You know, you saw some white color hair, some red full top, and he's got the blue one.
And you can see the 5 elements there at Rosemary. What I was going to say is he was the one that was able to kind of help out Vampire Esports by taking off rejects, and then they were able to move forward. And then with Potato, you got to remember,
Two healing.
At the end, for a second, we thought he was going to be able to clutch it up.
That's a scratch, I think, to heal. But, oh, no.
It's like, oh, no, I don't think I'm going to heal anymore. Just take me away.
And obviously, as we did see with DRS, right, they were a team who were able to get into the late stages of the games back in the All-Star stage. And then day 2, they were able to pick up the eliminations. We're seeing both here out of Alter Ego. And the thing is, remember last time I saw Alter Ego, they just didn't really impress so much back when working with them, or commentating, hosting, whatever you want to call it. But I'm excited to see, like, what kind of form we're going to see out of this event.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it a bit on the pre-show. What they were lacking back in the PMGC Grand Finals was fragging power, which I think Rosemary actually is the perfect pickup for. I think he's one of the best successful player pickups of 2023 so far, and I really want to see how this team can grow in the long term, and if they make it back into PMGC, see how they truly evolve over the course of a year.
Yep.
Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I do see a plane on the screens here of the Honor Magic 5 Pro for the players here live at PMWI. Let's get into our first Erringo of the day, our second match overall. Look at Lars.
Oh, yeah! Let's go,
just me.
baby!
Just me.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Kalaris, you got this, brother. I believe in you.
You want me to do an intro?
Do an intro. Go
That's
for it.
right. It's time for game number 2 here at the PMWI main event, and we are going to be getting things going. Look at this, a Southern Plane Path. We've just had Stalwart get themselves a phenomenal victory on the board here, thanks to holding down the tower defense. And now we're into game number 2, the Grassy Pastures. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I appreciate that.
Stalwarts, will they get blessed back-to-back? That is going to be the question. But you know what? They're not a team that really needs it. But when they get it, oh, is it so sweet.
Yeah.
Southern Plane Path here. That's going to kind of not the favorite of these players. That's
rough.
For sure. It is rough.
Yeah.
You know, and we're starting to see, teams like Vampire stretch up north. I'm surprised because normally we see Vampire go Primorsk. But instead decided to head towards Hospital.
Yep, it's a little bit tricky for them to make something like this happen. I mean, they know that 628 is also kind of keen on that location, right? So you got to be careful. Likewise, though, they do know that making this kind of drop go on, Fireflux is also keen to be moving north. So you've got to be a little bit careful here as Vampire. But there is the circle. It's pretty much going to be mainland almost guaranteed here. With obviously, we do have a little bit of military in, but usually teams would discount that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're definitely going to tell that all these teams are going to head towards that center area. Shelter, always a really strong position here in this circle. As we look at Alpha 7, forced on the run, and that is just a result of this playing path.
The double buggy pickup.
Double buggy! I always call those the lucky buggy.
The lucky buggy pickup.
That's right.
As they just crash into each other.
Oh.
No way. Get him.
Pushed over. Huiga! Goodbye! Oh, he jumped over it!
What a jump! There's no way he gets away. Nice try. Nice try.
Nice driving there from Quan. As that
first jump was sick.
That was. Honestly. I mean, he hopped right over it. Quan, though, with the return. Easy elimination. And that's always the roughest part about these circles, you know? Or the plane paths in general. You got to go and hunt down a vehicle, and if you miss, you're out of there.
No, definitely so, of course, as the 2023 PMWI crate is available from July the 15th to August the 15th as well. And maybe we've got a regame here. But also, not only that, we can go over to the Esports Center and check out some of the stuff that's coming along for you as well over at home. So if we do have a regame, we're just going to have a little bit of a lapse for the moment here. But I think when you look at a game like that, some of those teams that would like to go north, don't have the easiest time in a plane path like that. So it does kind of set them back straight away on an Erangel like that. So maybe they'd be happy to kind of negate some of that.
Oh, I know. What was it? Infinity IQ. Pretty happy about that one. They're going to be able to run this one big. Let's take a look at these teams. You can see exactly where there are players behind the frosted glass, just waiting and excited here today. I mean, the first match was nuts, obviously. We saw some Sandhawk craziness, but now we're going to go to Erangel, the tried and true map. So I'm really interested to see how it all plays out here, because we already noticed some teams taking some different drop locations. I wonder what's going to happen when we see a nice, good plane path.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about those drop positions as well, let's talk about the Vampire STE, Star 628.
That's correct.
Drop kind of dynamic as well, right? For a Vampire, it does put a little bit of a wrench in their works, but if you think about what they were doing in All-Stars, right? Their backup drop sometimes was locations like Zaki. So if you think about them trying to drop north on a plane path like that and then trying to rotate in from that northwest side, they clearly have some experience with it regarding kind of that backup drop location potential. So coming in from that side, they're probably very well versed at rotating from that angle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at a tournament of this caliber, with this much prize pool, guarantee you, these teams have all had a little chat prior to this, before entering here in the lobby, and they're saying, you know what, we're just gonna land on this side, you guys land over there, and we'll see who all battles it out in the final zone. Because, like I talked about, having these hot drops, they destroy your chances of a championship.
Oh yeah,
incredibly.
Yeah, it is absolutely brutal for both teams involved. Even if you're on the winning end of it, oftentimes you might lose one player, you might lose two players. Yeah, you won out the hot drop, and yeah, you've got yourself 4 eliminations on the board, but it really does not help your chances in order to convert to a win, things like that. And speaking of converting to a win, let's briefly talk about what we saw from a good point that they brought up on the desk was the Tiamba win it or lose it play.
Yes.
I love seeing those kinds of plays, because honestly, if you send, and when we saw them send into the Stalwart compound, you either win that fight and you potentially put yourself in a winning position, or you don't win it and that's like that. But it sometimes, especially on Sandhawk Dukes, and you know it as well, is better than just committing to the third parties, the fourth parties of edge play, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're having to roll the dice if you're just sticking to the spot where you're at. You're hoping that another team fights another, you catch a lucky third party, but they wanted to take their whole entire, future in their own hands.
Agreed.
Right? So they said, you know what, we take this day, if we get it, we do. If we go out, we go out. But we'll find out. Let's go ahead and bring it on over to the desk to hear their thoughts on that.
Well, my thoughts are actually thinking towards the teams who came in from the All-Star stage, where they are used to this happening and they get to keep their mental focus, whereas the teams coming in, this might throw them off a little bit. You know what? You got to stay focused because you only have 3 days of play.
You know what? Which team actually just got rolled over?
I think I think that was Infinity, wasn't it?
Was that Infinity?
It was, yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
They're like,
start.
yes,
Yes,
saved.
another chance.
Shout out to whoever that was.
Yeah, do you see the guns of that reject player, by the way? Man, he built
working
different, literally.
Not quite there yet.
Yeah, you got
More
to
like
translate
Jason.
in that
More-
mental state,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
More like Jason. He's
I
got
don't
the
know. I
guns.
saw you curling like 10s this morning.
10 kilos, which equals
10
20
different
pounds.
Pano chocolates.
Chocolates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
You just
French.
gotta. Never mind.
This man, I don't. Okay, we'll get back to topic really
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
This
yeah.
man, for some reason, every morning orders a cappuccino, takes his cappuccino, takes like a chocolate croissant. Okay, no, we'll go to
And
back.
then I
So
share
production
with
saying,
Jamba.
Jason, stay back, stay focused. I don't want it from the match we just saw, though. I want it from the match we just had happen because I think they definitely had more damage than that, didn't they?
Yep, and I think they had some elims too.
Is that actually from last match? I thought they had way more than that.
I mean, they
They
that
didn't get
push,
any elims?
they got no damage or like
Okay.
eliminations on their push in the
Color me wrong.
trifecta. Yeah. So I think this is accurate.
They actually got just the one placement point then.
Yeah. Also.
Okay. So he takes a croissant. No, we'll skip past that. I mean, obviously, it is a tough time here for the teams. Obviously, stay focused. I'm trying to think, is there any teams in particular that we kind of looked at in the last match? I mean, if you think about the PEL teams coming through, we didn't see too much about it in the first match. However, I'm very conditioned to see PEL teams come in with Nova. And it's just like, first day is not a big deal. Day 2 and day 3 is where they really come out the gates.
I think the Sanhok is not very telling of what we can expect from them. I'm going to wait maybe for an Erangel or two, a Miramar especially, see how they're going to be adapting to the lobby. I think after one Sanhok like that, it's a bit too soon.
Yeah,
I want to have a little bit more time. They're actually bringing up one topic for Sanhok in particular and see how that's going to devolve in the next day and next 2 days actually of the main tournament is are we going to see that hot drop happening in bootcamp that we saw of Geek taking that fight versus D plus Kia. D plus Kia completely dominated it, but in Paradise. I hope it's not going to happen again because it's just, as we know, not really worth it.
I think it'll probably happen one more time. And
Just 2 days.
I think, I don't know if it will happen tomorrow, but depending on where GK is at, depending on where D plus Kia is at, I think they'll probably land on each other one more time. I mean,
$3 million?
we saw it, right? We saw it happen, I mean, during the All-Star stage between, what was it? I think it was D plus Kia. I can't remember the other team.
It's always D plus Kia.
I can't remember
Forest.
the other.
Forest
It
away.
was Forest. I can't remember the other team, but I mean, it happened 2 days in a row.
Well, we saw that happen a lot, actually. I'm trying to think like a season ago, not this season that just passed, like the fall season of PMPL Europe, where we had the same 2 teams dropping every single time on the same compound on Miramar, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we had even
Or was
a
that
few of that on
PMGC?
Erangel.
Yep.
We had some
I think
PMGC.
you're thinking about G Gladiators when they were previously named different. And
No,
then
there's
Alpha
another
7.
HVVP.
No,
you know, back then.
it was one
But I
team.
mean, they would always just ego hot drop each other.
Basically, hot drops are bad. Don't do them.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get to, okay, right now. It's just not going to be helping you out. It's just Sanox is not as impactful if you had a hot drop happening on Erangel, which is why I'm really willing to see if that is going to be the case on Erangel. Are we going to see Alpha 7 Gladiators retain, especially the changes that we were able to witness at the end of the All-Star stage? Are Gladiators going to keep dropping towards Hospital Split? Are they going to go for the Southern Western Bridge of Sonuvka? I feel like teams have already adapted so much, and especially we got 3 full days of broadcast that the main tournament teams have been able to watch and see this is where the teams dropped, this is where they rotate typically. You can dodge it. I don't want to see hot drops happening at least as often as we had at the start of All-Stars.
And I feel in Erangel, it might come down to the plane path, right? Because in this previous match before we restarted, we did see G Gladiators go to Ferry Pier, where they've been going over and over again. And I think they had Alpha 7 starting to go towards Lipovka.
Well, here we go. Some total damage from the last match. We did have 2K reached and breached by Stalwart. Onto Ego at 1,700, a better ratio there between obviously damage and eliminations. Gladiator, though, kind of enjoying seeing this amount of damage. Obviously, one thing we've been criticizing them heavily on is having the Matic Classic.
Yep.
It still doesn't rhyme. When I say it doesn't rhyme.
Really?
Yeah.
The Matic Classic. If I do it like that, yeah, the Matic Classic doesn't really rhyme.
Could enunciate, yeah.
Matic?
And in American, it doesn't rhyme. In French, English, it seems like
Matic
it does.
Classic. No, it doesn't. Nah, but not
See?
really.
Matic Meta?
No. We'll have to find
That's
something.
alliteration.
No.
We'll think of some.
We'll think of something. Don't worry. I mean, we got the Terminator. We got Darth Dante. We got to figure out a couple more. But what about Alpha 7, since I'm looking at you? Not a strong first match, but not necessarily a big deal for them. We always know they start slow in tournaments. The only weird thing is that this is technically like day 4 for them.
You're going to set me
It's
up
not the
for it?
start,
All right,
yeah.
I think it's time. I think it's time. I actually wanted to talk about this at the beginning of the show. I don't want to see a slow start out of them. I feel like they don't have any excuse now. They were using the excuse of, okay, we already qualified to the main event. We're going to be able to try different stuff. And I feel like it is now time for them to not be using any excuses and actually show up here and not be like, okay, you know what? It's usual Alpha 7. They're not going to be doing well here in day 1, but in day 2, that's when they start picking it up. I kind of want to just not continue to give him an excuse because that's what I feel like is happening. We just saw what Star Wars Esports was able to do, right? And they haven't been playing the previous 3 days. They were able to come in here. They were able to get a chicken dinner. They were able to back it up with eliminations too. So it's time we start getting off that narrative of, oh yeah, this team is used to starting off slow. They're going to come back in day 2. I'm just tired of that. I want to see Alpha 7 show the caliber team that if they want to become the champions, right? We always talk about with Alpha 7, they really want to become PMGC champions. At this rate, I just don't see it happening this year. Something needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some people saying like, oh, but it's different teams than what you had in All-Stars, so they need to adapt a little bit more. And I mean, not really, because...
You know what that's called, Max? It's called excuses.
Exactly. Yep. And the thing is also on top of that is that these are internationally renowned teams. Like we know how they play. We know where they drop. We know how they rotate. If you're doing your research, which it should be at this point, you shouldn't be having any major issues. And you have 16 teams compared to 18. It should be technically even easier than what you had in the All-Star stage, except that the teams are a lot stronger coming into it. But at least you should not be going out as early for like reasons like hot drops or rotations, I feel.
But even when the teams are stronger, if you are considered one of the strongest teams in the world for PUBG Mobile Esports, that shouldn't be an excuse. I feel like you should be able to maintain it. I just want to see something out of them. Coming in this Erangel, I think we were talking about this actually before the show even started. We were wondering, okay, how many matches are we going to be giving Alpha 7 if they don't start pretty well? I think I was saying 3, and you said 2. And I went back on it. I was like, you know what? It's actually accurate. I think after the first Erangel, it'll set the pace for the rest of the day.
What about, so we're talking about strong teams. I'm actually curious, and before any of us get any hate messages on Instagram again, what about the other end? Who do you perceive to be as the weakest teams in this lobby right now? And not necessarily, again, not in negative connotations, so don't hate on us. But in terms of like the power we've seen in the past, the raw power of the talent they have on the rosters, who do you perceive to be weak? Comparatively, relatively.
You said one team earlier.
Which one did I say?
Starts with a T.
Oh, Twisted Mind. I was like, where's he going with this? I don't know. I mean, yeah, Twisted Mind comes to mind then in this one.
Well, you look at Crypto, right? I mean, back in North America, Crypto used to be one of the strongest players, I'd say, right?
In Pakistan, yeah.
No, Pakistan?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was Europe, right?
Yeah, he did come to
Europe, right?
You're thinking
right.
back, there used to actually be a Crypto at NA as well.
Because I was trying to think, like, how often has he played internationally at events like this? Because this is obviously a massive step up compared to just playing in a solo PMPL region. And there's a lot more pressure on a person like him who's supposed to be a star player.
Yeah, and we did see them go out really early in this previous game, right? Right into Vampire Esport that were gatekeeping the southern western edge of that circle on Sanhok. I feel like it was a little bit of lack of scouting. I don't want to judge too much on one game, especially at Sanhok, right? I want to see, as we stated, Miramar. I want to see Erangel, how it's going to be panning out, but it's not good for the mental state, especially after a rehost on your first Erangel too. So I want to see them get in the zone.
Yeah, but something that we always think about, right? Previous PMPL MVPs, I feel like they always have a little bit of extra pressure on their shoulders.
Just looking at you dancing on the...
I was jamming.
It's a good song, but I always feel like they have a little bit of pressure on their shoulders because everybody's expecting them to perform. Everybody's expecting them to be able to put up the numbers. And if that doesn't start happening, then the player might start doubting himself at one point, right? And it's been a while since Crypto has been that MVP. I mean, by a while, I mean last year around this time is when he became an MVP for Pakistan. I feel like at one point, he's going to start thinking about it. People are going to start expecting those numbers, and they're going to want to see him. And I personally do want to see him being able to perform well here.
Yeah, and their performances have been very volatile in a sense. Like you had Saudi E-League, and then he went straight back down when they played in their home region. So I don't really know what to expect. They can have pretty good results.
I can see your phone already starting to get some pings.
Thinking the same thing.
I'm just saying facts. Okay, they did good. And then
ladies and gentlemen, Addy, put the camera on me real quick. The truth hurts sometimes, but it's true.
He didn't wait for the...
I know, he didn't wait for the solo shot, yeah.
He didn't. It's okay.
Too late.
There
you go. Now do it again. Do it again.
No.
Okay.
Okay. The truth hurts. Aww. The truth hurts.
We got it 3 times.
Thank you.
We got there eventually, right?
Time's the charm.
What about Falcons, man? Honestly, when I start talking about weak teams, to me, Falcons was one of those teams that I had in my mind.
I agree with that statement.
Do you have
Would you elaborate?
something else? Yeah.
No. I was just enjoying the laughter in the background. But there were, I mean,
I think they're sending messages to Max right now on Instagram.
Before All-Stars, I think everybody was expecting Falcons to not even be here in the main event, and I think they were able to showcase in a big way what they are actually capable of with this new team. They're not the same Falcons that we saw last time at PMWI, and they were able to kind of back it up, right? They're a new team. It's a new team's Falcons. They're new roster. They were able to put up good performances. And the way they were able to actually start the match, start the day here, they were able to put up some ilms as well, which, yeah, it is Sandhawk. Yes, there is some manage. You are able to take advantage of it, but it's still a good way to start the day.
I would say you have a very few amount of regions where the transition from your home region to international events like PMGC, PMWI is really rough. One of those is NA, but also Africa, right?
Yeah.
Is it always going to do the same reaction?
There's
It's your
nobody
region.
from an A here.
It is literally
It
your-
is my region, but I always tell them the same thing. I mean, if you're not going to be here, what do you want me to talk about an A?
Okay, fair enough.
And Hyper where? And then Miss X started replacing.
We were talking about Team Falcons.
Miss X is what? I know, but I'm saying you mentioned
This point.
NA, and I'm like, they're not even here.
I don't know, man. I'm scared to touch the NA top.
I always tell them this, man. I've been doing NA for like, what, 5 years now?
You know what? Let's go in. Let's just end our careers here. You know, you look at PMKLA in particular, if we're going to talk about it, go ahead, Max, you're in the conversation. You're associated.
Are we going to sugarcoat it? Because, I mean, we can't be biased.
I don't care if you're the best team in NA. That doesn't mean squat on the global scale. You can have your ego all you want, but if you get to an event like this and you can't compete, not necessarily calling it Mizexis, there's a couple of other teams I have in mind. I'm not going to say their name, though.
Say it.
No. Then, you know what? Like, get good.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. When was the last time that we actually went to an international event and we're like, okay, you know what? NA has a chance not to win. Not to win.
When Zute was playing,
top 5.
When Zute was playing, for me, it was like the first PMGC we had, Season 0, back in Malaysia in 2019.
Oh, that's when he had his best move.
And we had Carnage. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I do miss Carnage as well.
Yeah. And you had like Temple Storm back then. That's when I felt like, okay, NA has a chance. But the problem is NA's just fallen further and further behind. I think, in part, because of egos, but also in part because of the old guard kind of retiring and leaving PUBG Mobile behind, not kind of sticking around, training the new generation of NA.
But then we had
Hotchix looks like he agrees.
Then we had Knights.
Or disagrees.
Then we had Knights, right? And then they ended up going to PMGC, and everything kind of fell apart, and then the team disbanded, and now we have Coops being able to dominate in a completely different region.
That's the issue. If you get too good in NA, you're getting picked up by another region.
Yeah, I mean, which is the right thing. And I always tell the players too, hey, do good, because there's other regions that are going to be looking, and if you can excel somewhere else, if you can make some money.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that NA and Africa, which was the initial point, is that they are regions that's really hard to transition to these big global events. So yeah, you don't get too many opportunities to play at this stage, but it feels like the level of play is just like kind of similar year after year, right? And it's not too many improvements.
I've been saying for years, it's like you get to an event like this, you know, for Mizex's case, in this certain situation, you take what you learn here, you bring it back to your region, and you try to help the region improve, and you try to dominate the region. But I feel like a broken record. I've been saying that for like 3-4 years now. And at some point, you just have to wonder what's going to happen.
That's why I was so excited to see what Hyper was going to be able to do in this event, and it didn't end up happening, and then it just
well, we did have one of the players here last year, GK First.
Yeah.
Under TJB, right? Under the TJB flag, and it didn't do well.
Yeah. That was a rough transition also for them, unfortunately. I mean, there were some moments where GK First did do well, but the team just were not able to compete at all at this level very clearly.
I just hope we actually get a chance to see a top NA team like Hyper at an international event, so we can see what they're actually capable of at a LAN event, not online.
Well, maybe next year that'll happen. To be fair, when you are playing like America's regionals or European regionals, some people are playing with higher pings than others. And it does make it a lot more difficult to play. So maybe some more offline events can actually help step up the game. And a lot more of these international events. Maybe some more regional clashes, stuff like that would make things a lot more exciting and obviously help take the skill you learn and kind of trickle it down.
I think the regional clashes in particular are really cool, actually, to have to get some more knowledge and some more clashes of metas between all these different regions. I mean, one we're going to be having after this event is going to be nice to see MEA versus Europe, which we very rarely see, right? So the European teams that rarely make it out outside of their home region, which is mainly the old Eastern Stars team, can get some good info.
I would want to see, Max, sorry to cut you off, I want to see North America against Turkey.
Against who?
Turkey.
Turkey. Did you say North America or America?
Yeah, North America.
Okay, North America.
Yeah.
Not Americas.
No, not Americas.
NA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
NA.
PMPL region,
That's
right?
a bloodbath.
I know.
You know what I want to see?
They would get a lot of good experience because in NA, we saw this especially. We're like, oh yeah, that team would not get away with that against other teams. And I feel like that's something that they need more of a shock, especially in NA. Like sometimes they get away for too long with like easy stuff, and it just becomes a habit for them that once they get to actually this stage, it completely backfires.
Actually, a very interesting point to make. I'm really happy you bring that up because it made me remember what's been happening in Europe. We have the CIS teams coming over, and they've been able to gather
so I'm
so
just
much
getting
info.
PTSD from the song every time.
I'm just trying to go
It's a new
faster
Silver
now.
Scrapes. All right, it's time to head into game here, and hopefully I don't get cut off this time with Kalaris, and let's go, Hotjukes!
Let's go! Here we go.
Jeez, that was loud.
We are headed into Arrogale. What can I say? I have one volume, and it's set to max.
It's set to American.
May I get it max?
There you go. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yes.
No, he's French, he's quiet.
Oh, le bison. Oh, le petit bison. Le bison. That's right.
You know, I'm sad, man. My premium limited edition intro was squandered on the regame.
It really was.
I'm
It was
so
so
sorry.
good. It was so good. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was too good.
Yeah, maybe.
They said, you know what? We just have to settle for the let's go.
I guess. All right, well.
Is what it is.
Let's go. There you go.
Let's go indeed. Look at this. Here we go. First Arrogale here of the day. Northern play path this time. Much more favorable for a lot of these teams.
Yes, so they're going to be much happier with what they're seeing so far, and maybe we see slight adjustments here and there. But one thing's for sure, if you're going north of the river, you're going to have a much easier time of getting to where you want to go. You see Vampire drop on out here, heading towards that kind of, south of South George area to get things started. And likewise, where is 628? Because their reach down towards Pmwi is a little longer. They're going to drop west coast and maybe drive down. But looking at that circle, that's a long drive to then get to the circle. They'll probably end up doing it, though.
Yep, they're going to have to indeed. Probably we'll see them kind of take that southern route all the way down and then rotate possibly up the edge coastline. Oh, what do you see?
A knock already on Stalwart and a complete finish. We're looking at the map, but this is an important fight. Meanwhile, there's another fight going on with GK and D plus Kia.
Double fight. Here we go. GK Esports looking to get it done right here next to Rozhawk. And this compound, I assume both of these teams are going for that vehicle that is in that garage, most likely. And they are going to have to battle it out because of that. A much more favorable start for Infinity IQ.
I mean, considering Rozhawk's just so close and the split that S2G was taking in All-Stars is completely open, I'm surprised that this is going down the way it is. I mean, if you want to wrestle for what is effectively garden location, cool, you can, but I don't think it holds as much value as you may think. Or they may think.
Yes, indeed. Let's see how he's going to start this off. He's got that over-under shotgun. He has to hit it. 2 bullets. He's got his teammate right next to him. Oh, he's actually got 3, so they're going to have an advantage. Oh, a stun grenade blinds them both, and they're going to have to do some shots, completely blind the situation. You can even see Osel shooting his own teammate, Satan, up close with the S12K. Has to hit the shot, but so much hesitancy. Look how much time these players are taking to reset over and over.
Ragnar holding the angle here. A big jump shot coming in as well as Haith is going to try and get this going alongside the S12K. 3 down. Satan has to make a miracle play happen here. They know where he is. They're going to prioritize him instead of going for those flushes and trying to pump him out with the pumpy. As Satan goes for a jump shot against it. I don't think it's going to work on out. There's no way he wins this, surely.
He hit him too, but he's down to 1 HP. Gets it done after all. Gonna go ahead and go for that pump shotgun. Can Satan pull off another miracle play for the first time here in this tournament? He's gonna get a double most likely.
He's low.
1 more shot. Missed it again. How is he missing all these shots? Oh, that had to hurt.
That did. There was very little opportunity there for them to salvage that, and they will be going down. 7 points from the previous game, nothing for this one. Stalwart is bailing as they got caught very early. Here it was a run over here as Infinity IQ were able to finish off top. That's got to hurt.
Hey, Infinity IQ getting a little bit of revenge, right? We saw a run over happen to them, but now they're the ones doing the run over, so that's going to be not the best start for Stalwart Esports, especially considering they're coming off of a chicken dinner. But, you know, we have a nice northern circle, very, very typical. Teams are taking a little bit of time to get looted up here.
Yeah, and speaking of getting looted up, this is actually Stalwart looking for somewhere that they could potentially call home in this circle. They dropped, they knew that they had someone be run over, and the trash loot that they had around or west of that shelter area was not enough. Now they're rotating south away from the circle, knowing that farm's taken, Milta's taken, any trash loot would be kind of not very wise. They're coming down here to Novo for a better loot secure. There is a world where they could take a boat from here and enter far north, but that's a quite ridiculous call. If they did it would be insane. They might just probably drive back up.
Oh, I want to live in that dimension, though.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that right now, where that happens.
It's next level plays, but I don't think they're going to do it. I've seen it before, though.
The thickest of botates.
Yeah,
and this,
yeah.
if honestly, if it's going to happen, this is the zone for it to happen on. Because to be honest with you, I mean, yeah, they are having to go all the way down to Novo to loot up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult to push up the circle. But we'll see how fast they're able to get that loot and go. Only with 3 players on the board. First game in the books. First day is so important in this tournament because we've seen it happen. We saw it just there in the All-Star stage. Towards the last day, the last game, there's so many teams that have nothing to lose. So you do not want to put yourself in a situation where you're needing points in the last game.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we saw as close as, Aegon I8, for example, in the All-Stars. You, towards the later stages of it, got a 32-point game and still weren't able to get here, right? So you want to really hit the floor running for this. As with a circle like this as well, with the rotations we were talking about earlier, whilst we're seeing all these teams jostle for position, the Rejects and Tiamba are also not exactly afraid of doing some kind of bridge camp, especially on a circle like this, against a team that would normally drop down the military or something like that, with DRS eventually moving down here. So they'd be anticipating that team coming over, not necessarily a stalwart.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that bridge camp. But man, you just, those are a dagger to the heart hearing that, because just seeing those RI8 players after a 30-point chicken dinner.
32.
Yeah, 32 points. Just with their hands on their head saying, why didn't we just start playing like this earlier? Ugh.
Oh, sorry, you're on about R8, 30 points in the last game. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm thinking about so many big games, which were so impactful, so close, but not getting them on. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, it was absolute insanity here. But you know what? We're here on the main stage. A lot of teams looking to pick up a big chunk of all that cheddar, that big prize pool that we have here. $2 million at stake, literally doubled it here for this tournament. We can still get Fireflux, looking to possibly go for some vehicles, looking to use that 4-car strat. Everybody just taking it kind of easy right now, just trying to get looted up, getting ready for the next circle.
Yeah, you can play this circle slow because of the differences that exist in the circle, right? You can eventually have to go all the way up Stalber, try and play the side of Stalber Mountains. You have to sometimes play Yaz Fields here. So I don't think there's any hurry for a lot of these teams to try and scramble for a center position, because center could quite easily not have any value whatsoever in 2 circles' time. Like, you go and pitch up at Alamo, south of Yaz Fields, right? And then all of a sudden the circle shifts away from you. What are you supposed to do?
Yep, and who knows? We may even see a Stalper finish, maybe even a Kameshki.
Maybe. Well, steady on.
That would
let's
be
not get
interesting.
too wild.
Yeah, let's not get too crazy here. Let's take a look here at the bottom. We can see GK Esports completely focused right now, laser focused after their rough start in Sandhawk.
Yes.
So now they
have
have
a great start.
Yeah, 4 eliminations on a D+ Kia, and it was a very well fought. I love seeing battles at this stage because they're so patient. Even though they have a couple players knocked, you don't see any kind of crazy sends. No, they'll reset 3, 4, 5, 6 times if they have to.
And we're going to see a difference in the next game, right? I doubt we're going to see that compound fight again from D+ Kia going up against GK and the next Erangel. And dead center. Wow. Okay, so a lot of priority compounds. Where are we going? I'm thinking to myself, southwest of Yasnaya Polyana. Already we're seeing Fireflux there. They're going to be taking up some of those locations. GK's in the area as well. All of this is about to get very hectic because it's quite flat terrain.
Oh, yes, it is. Tianba trying to get a rotation on, but Twisted Minds is waiting for them. They were right next to him, and you can see as Dami does go down, Tianba do have 1 knocked in the process. Crypto, monster player, trying to get some sight lines here as Ren's backing it up, looking to rotate away from this.
Currently sat over at Alamo's Twisted Minds as Easy and Crypto going to lock this down, looking each and every way. Some big names on Twisted Minds, big expectations from the fans to see the guys like Crypto be able to perform here on the international stage. Tiamba just finds themselves in this position where they're just covering themselves with smokes for the moment. They do know that Alamo was taken thanks to the shots that they could hear over there.
They did get an elimination onto Twisted Mind, so they are big chilling right now. Getting a nice little reset for themselves. Taking a look at Reject Tokyo. We saw them a little bit earlier, but now we got eyes on to 628. Oh, there they are now. They were the first team to really get eliminated in that Sandhawk match. Just got picked apart little by little, so they really need a good bounce back game here.
Yeah, and just to play your next game a little bit more slow, get some kind of change your mental state about it, and if you're playing slow, surviving into some of the later stages of the game, you can be okay indeed.
As we take a look at, for those of you guys looking at the map stream, we're starting to see Stalwart push from the south side, but there is a battle going on between Infinity IQ and Tiamba, battling it out here at the Blues, right south of Yasnaya. Ren, gonna go ahead and push on in, and I think this battle might be done and dusted. They did end up picking up a couple, and actually another defeat right there. Yeah, that was from Infinity IQ, trying to do some split looting.
He was running about with the Scar. He has a DBS in hand as well here, as Infinity IQ is still in some of these craters that were created down in the south of the fields. So this is just close to Alamo, but again, Crypto has now moved up. You can see him on the high ground in the distance, doing some scouting, because with this kind of circle, it's unlikely usually that you would be able to stay there forever. There is a chance, of course, you know, but just going up to that slight high ground, getting as much information as possible across this field is going to be absolutely necessary.
100%. Yeah, that little hill right next to Alamo.
Yeah.
Pretty good spot. And let's see exactly where the zone's going to go, though. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a Yasnaya field zone. Those are a dime a dozen. And
scary.
That'll definitely make things interesting. We may see some hay bale battles.
Yep.
As we see Stalwart all the way at the south side. They did come all the way from Crate, so they do get up here safely. But in order to get into a good position... Oh, actually, this zone is actually a pretty favorable one for them.
Okay, so what am I seeing? Already, Heaven is still in play, right? So you've got Rosemary and Potato and the guys over there. They've got themselves technically a great spot to try and stage this from. It really depends on which side of road it ends up going, right? If it does go east, they are absolutely sitting pretty. Very, very happy indeed. Meanwhile, you're seeing STE here trying to fight off against Rejects. Rejects needs to bail on out. And thankfully, no casualties just yet.
628 holding the edge of the circle now, just as we see the scramble to try to get into the center of the zone. Infinity IQ taking some shots onto Soulcade. Are they able to bust out the buggy? No, instead they get ran over. Fireflux looking to do possibly even another run over from Soulcade. He jumps out but gets popped at the same time.
Trying his best to deal with this here, but it is difficult when you rock up on a location like this. Here comes Lutz once again. He's going for another one. Actually gets a full finish off, and he's able to finish it all off. Amazing to be able to get that kind of recovery, but they need to recover even a little bit more.
What a play there for Fireflux, but the battle has not stopped. Here comes Carrillo from Alpha 7 Esports, looking to apply some pressure onto GK as it's just Ragnar left. You can see his Falcon there just saying, buddy, we're in trouble.
Yeah, Fireflux was going to be eliminated in the distance as well. Twisted Minds were able to finish them off. Recovering where they were was very difficult. Vampire also taking a fight here with 628 in the distance. There's fights going on everywhere, not only on the edge of the circle, but there was teams scrambling to try and send through the middle to get themselves a good spot.
Ragnar with a huge nade onto Alpha 7 is able to pick up another elimination. So Alpha 7, even though it's just one player, making mistakes, and they lose 2 in the process.
Definitely. Ragnar just going to pop some stims to get going. Carrillo still alive. Sees 628 in the distance here, trying to rotate on around him. But another nade, not able to get too much done. Thank anything for the backroom.
You know exactly where he is, and unfortunately, they're not able to thread the needle and get any utility in there. So Ragnar is going to hold that down. I'm surprised to see so much hesitancy from Alpha 7. I don't think they want to walk outside right now. I think they feel like they're surrounded. But, man, losing 2 players like that is going to hurt. Let's see what TQ is going to do here from Team Falcons. Looking for some sight lines. He did spot something, so he's going to throw a pretty blind nade here. I think he figures that they could be behind the rock. But now after seeing that vehicle, he knows exactly where to throw it. Is it going to hit? Ooh, just a little off the mark.
Smoke's going to be a dead giveaway as well. That's why they throw them ahead and then run behind them and trying to bail from all of this. Goes for a spray, but realizes that they're just gone. and will have to try and relocate himself.
That was really close there for Stalwart. Very unfortunate for them to be able to get away from that alive without losing another member. As
Where are we
of
going?
course, they did lose top early. Yeah, where are we going indeed? Where's that zone going? Nice hard shift again. So this zone is just hugging the edges every single time.
Ping-ponging around. That brings Heaven out of the equation, actually, here. So Alter Ego are going to have to leave from there. And actually, I mean, for the rest of the lobby, this is absolutely great. Because if you have to deal with a team in Heaven, it acts like an absolute watchtower across the rest of the area. So there's going to be some teams wiping the sweat off their brow.
Oh, I kind of wanted to see some vehicles just YOLO send it up, see some jump out crazy plays there. But yeah, we're not going to see that.
Land on the roof.
Yeah, that we're not
Fun
going to
times.
see that now. But for now, we're going to see some teams looking for all the best spots here in this next zone. Only a couple of buildings left. A lot of hills areas here. Let's see that nade one more time from Ragnar.
Big.
Oh my gosh.
Very
And
well done.
Instant finish with that Bison.
Lippy Bison. Lovely.
628. Oh, that's another player from Alpha 7, so it's just Carrillo up left. And is he going to be able to hit that nade? Oh, Zing knocking it onto him. And that is Alpha 7 eliminated in 12th place.
Eliminated, but I'm sort of surprised 628 stuck around on this west side as long as they have done. I saw them in their vehicles. I thought they were going to rotate, but now they've put themselves in a bit of a precarious spot where they're going to have to move into a circle like this. I thought they were going to get ahead of it. But anyway, Gladiators here up on the north side. Box is just taking pot shots at them whenever they can. Whenever they come across this hill, they have to go past them. So somehow they have to figure out and solve the puzzle that Box is presenting them.
And we'll see if that puzzle is going to be complete or not. You can see McHugh trying to figure out the puzzle of how to get out of here alive, and he does find the right piece. Gets in the vehicle with Kitsune. Meanwhile, 628 full sending it on a DRS. Maybe for some reason they thought that this was open. It is closed for business. The rest of 628 have no choice, I think, but to send it in that location. But instead, gonna just take this little hillside. They have to edge in some way. Oh, this is a blind rotation. It is not looking good for 628.
The lateness of this makes it very, very difficult, although Killer is all on his lonesome, just ahead of the pack here. So maybe they weren't really expecting that. Spray's going to come in, tries to get in. They might have even got a wheel on that, but likewise, they're going to return fire, take him out. The rest of DRS not here to be able to support it.
Kind of a misplay there from Killer. Do you think he was just kind of holding that position, waiting for his team to get there?
Trying to, as an anchor point here and not expecting 628 to really move in. If he's got an anchor position there and the rest of them rendezvous faster, it's a great spot. But, just a little bit too slow on the uptake.
Yeah, a little bit of mistiming. It's crazy how much that could cost you. For all we know,
for sure,
that could have costed a few $100,000. Crazy to think about in the future. But you know what? That's what it comes down to. Let's take a look here at Reject Tokyo. Had a tough start, but now they have 4 up.
Yeah.
Good control. They have a nice spot. They do have full sight lines onto Vampire, trying to control this edge of the zone on the west side. Meanwhile, Falcons battling it out with Gladiators. Here comes TQ with a nice nade. Is it well placed?
Ooh.
Oh, perfectly between them. Pieces them up a little bit. Doesn't get the knock, though. Here comes another, though.
Do we have a follow-up? That's the question, yeah, because if that doesn't get anything as a conversion, it was a nice nade, but the guys are probably going to try and heal up. We've got ourselves, though, Falcon. In terms of their triangle position, they were looking for off angles against Gladiators where they were sending it to. So maybe they can completely dismantle them. They're driving in, actually.
Yeah, I think if they realize that it's only 2 players, especially with this circle, I think they really want to control this southern side of the zone. So if you're Team Falcons, I think right now you apply the pressure, turn up the heat, and take them out. Because if you play this way too passive, you're going to let them buy way too much time.
Big kind of blind sprays into smokes here to try and just get a tag wherever they can. And already hit, so has to go prone there for a second.
Yeah, I don't like this. I'm glad TQ backed off because he needs the rest of his team with him. If he gets knocked, he's going to get thirsted, and that would be a huge mistake for the Falcons. He has a beautiful angle, but he needs his squad. I wonder what they are doing. Meanwhile, you got Axer way far in the back, still in the zone. Maybe possibly they're trying to defend against a team rotating on the side.
Yeah, well, thankfully for them, they don't have to move too much just yet. So they can still prolong this out for a little bit, take it slow against them. Mekuga will go down. Likewise, Kitsune's gone as well here. Falcons clean up Gladiators. And meanwhile, on the other side, Rejects trying to dislodge the Vampire problem.
Very fortunate for Team Falcons to get that finish. And not to mention Kitsune running out of 5.56 right there at the end. That is going to bite them. Meanwhile, we're going to see Vampire give up their compound and start heading towards the center of the zone. They do notice that they're going to have to make some shots out of this vehicle because you can see Stone popping out now. This is a really tough angle. This is still outside of the circle, but I think they just wanted to avoid the vehicle explosion.
Yeah, if this doesn't stalemate out, Vampire might get really desperate and try and send it over the road, which, by the way, they don't really have much information about, and then run straight into the jaws of Falcon. So you've got a choice. You can either try and win this gunfight quickly and then move in up against it and then try and take that lip underneath DRS, or big send without much info.
Maybe with some buggies, too. Clear out the smokes. You got the buggy, you got the vehicle power. Meanwhile, though, Jing does clutch it up with a DBS. Ravenclaw is knocked. They want to be able to support their player. They don't want to lose anybody right now. I'm surprised we're not seeing another vehicle drive up. Maybe they're just thinking it's too risky with that DBS.
Oh, there was a nade there, and it will shut him down. So they take the calculated play on this one. Stay on this side of the road, get rid of the two that were there, and they should be able to recover as a four-man. But again, they're edge-heavy here, so they've still got a lot of work ahead of them.
Oh, yes, they do. They are straight up on the edge of this circle, but they do get a few eliminations in the process. Still 9 teams remaining here. As we take a look at Twisted Minds, possibly trying to get a nade onto Yante. He knows exactly where he is. I think Easy's going to probably hit this eventually, though.
Bear in mind, teams here that have been able to leapfrog ahead of Twisted Minds have had the opportunity to do so at the behest of Twisted Minds because they've had Alamo for so long. Not bad at all, but they need to get rid of these teams that have leapfrogged ahead of them. They should have shot at them as they came in, and I think that probably did occur, but they weren't successful to get rid of them, basically.
That's one of the hardest things here at this stage, is you have to decide, do we leave our compound and take these players out as fast as possible? And sometimes you're just so comfortable where you're at, where you just kind of want to survive for a little while longer, and I can't blame them, because if you go too early, you open up the chance of a team third-partying you. So Twisted Minds trying to play this very safe.
Definitely. Stone looking towards Twisted Minds as they're trying to find themselves a little bit of a closer location towards the end of that circle. And the hard shifts continue in this one, Hot Jukes. That is rough for some of those teams in the south.
Oh my gosh, straight goes to the other side, and it's a huge zone shift for Alter Ego, a team that had to really work for it in Sandhawk, finally getting blessed here. Let's see how many eliminations they're going to total up before the end of this.
Yep, same time. Let's take stock of things. He's winding it up, man. He's winding it up. What's he going to hit? As Falcon's driving around near STE, actually. They're going to try and get rid of them and clear their backs even further. They're doing a lot of this clearing their backs tactic, which could work out for them in the long run.
That is something you definitely want to do. You want to make sure that there's nobody ahead of you. Action, very worried about that Molotov. He's going to pop out of his US here. Meanwhile, TQ doing a great job of just applying a ton of suppressive fire.
They need to make this a bit more strong, this kind of push. I don't think they realize fully it's just 2 people. That's the thing. They might have had a little bit of information, but they're kind of cautious as to whether or not there might be other off angles in the distance here for Stalwart. Stalwart is definitely in a weakened state.
Uh-oh. Stoned. Dead eyes on the Falcon. They 1-2-3'd them. They waited. They said 1, 2, 3, pow. Make those shots. Got the knot on the tee. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. Box is also taking some shots at Stalwart from that north side as well here. So all these teams kind of sandwiched between 2 absolute giants as Ravenclaw is going to pepper a few shots into Falcons. Ace is going to go down. Falcons here is getting shredded up because of Vampire eventually pushing over the road.
Not to mention their hesitancy. They could have pushed on Stalwart, but like you mentioned, they could have thought that there was still a full squad there. They hesitated for a little bit, and now that off angle from Vampire is really biting them in the butt.
Yeah, the slow roll over the road whilst Falcons was preoccupied with the north. If Falcons is looking to try and hold this down completely, they probably would have still had to try and go for a 2-2 split, still looking at the road, waiting for a team to come over, because they had very limited options, those teams on the other side of the road.
I'll tell you what, though, this is a massive game for Vampire Esports, as they've already racked up 8 eliminations here, and they are looking strong. They're not laying down, waiting for teams to come to them. They are pushing the action here and taking teams out one by one.
All right, blowing up some of the vehicles now as well, making sure that your opponents can't do it themselves. As Twisted Minds here, still on this edge side. They haven't lost anybody else since Crypto's got himself 3 elims.
Nice. All by his lonesome, too. He's got all the eliminations on the team. And I can think if you see Ravenclaw slowly wrapping around, trying to catch an off angle onto DRS, looking for any intel. I like to see Ravenclaw use that vehicle, even though he's in the blue zone, eating a lot of damage. He's getting a ton of intel for his squad.
Yeah, it's sneaky. to be able to go for that. He's trying his best because the thing that really does hurt you is the fact that you need intel of who's over the road. Are they trying to move over the road? Because they will appear in a moment's notice, especially if they're blitzing it in vehicles. So you've got to be really on the trigger to be able to deal with them.
100%. That intel could be huge. Maybe you realize that there's a full squad. Maybe you realize there's only one player and you send it. Any intel is good intel. And let's take a look here at where these teams are going to go. Next zone about to pop. And it centers on up. Again, Alter Ego, dead center. In a really good position here. And how many eliminated? They've got 4 eliminations, and I expect to see a lot more from them soon.
Yep, they've been chilling in the center of this circle, man. I mean, it's a deceptively good area to take. You have to expend some smoke sometimes with the lines of sight we're seeing here. You can see them in the distance on the left, but car forts are super important at this point. And for for them in the middle, I mean, it's going to be a case of you need those vehicles to be able to give you a bit of cover.
Yeah, those car forts are huge, but I'll tell you what, that is a very dangerous spot to take.
Yes.
I have a high likeliness feeling that they are going to be surrounded by these squads, and every single team is going to be looking directly at them. They're going to have to make something happen like crazy.
Don't know why I couldn't scrabble together Alter Ego, but they're out getting knocked in the distance as well by Tiamber, who have now pushed on against them. Nade's going to rain down on their position here, and Stalwart is now gone. They will go down in 7th.
So here we go. Let's see what Alter Ego could do. Can they defend this position? Beautiful. Nade there from Octa. Onto Tiamba, over with 1 HP, but he's going to go ahead and throw over a nade right on top of them. Meanwhile, we're going to see Ren with the drive in. He's got the DBS locked and loaded. It is a 2v1 situation, but that smokes.
Ooh.
Oh, it did eliminate those sight lines, but man, Alter Ego, they are on it when it comes to their gun skill.
It was a good fight back, especially since the position they're in is quite nadeable. So, I mean, that could be another opportunity here for someone like Twisted Minds if they have the resources, but I don't think they do. They've already been through a lot of combat here throughout this game, as on the opposite side, Vampire versus Box might be the brewing conflict that was on the way.
Brolkiss, very familiar name. You can see him right there on the edge, looking to make things happen. Ravenclaw, the entire team of Vampires up, and now they're applying pressure on the Box. This team is doing a great job of just eliminating squads on this edge lane. That's 10 eliminations, double digits, the most we've seen so far, and they're not done yet.
Yeah, this feels like All-Stars Vampire right now, especially for that day one that we saw for them in the All-Stars. Really good usage of smokes. They've been rolling from fight to fight, so they've been able to steal some utility from their opponents as well. If they deal with Box, they might have this in the bag.
I think so. It's totally possible. I mean, especially with how they're playing. There's something about getting into the action early on. Your reflexes are just that extra quarter second quicker than those teams that have just been waiting for the fight to come to them. Box losing 1 player. Meanwhile, we're seeing a lot of snake play happen, and that is because there is just no cover in this zone.
Yeah,
it is all open field, baby.
It is a very difficult location to play. You can see so much prone gaming going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? If you do not have a great vehicle fort, if you don't have some rocks here or there, this dip obviously is fantastic, but you can see how many have tried to crash in, cause some problems here. We're seeing those body boxes down there. I think Twisted Minds doesn't have any nades to be able to kind of punish them in that spot.
Nope, tons of utility being expended just to get here in the first place, so I'm not surprised to see that happen. And Alter Ego, yeah, they do have that dip, but like you mentioned, they had to lose 2 players in the process. It's not one of those circles where you can just stand up and shoot everybody. You have to just survive because everybody is looking towards that center position. You can see Twisted Minds looking in this direction, Box on the other side. Vampire, I wonder if they are going to clean out this right side and focus on Box first rather than center circle.
Okay, so Crypto had 1 nade. He actually was waiting, holding it.
Oh!
No! He was on the other side of the vehicle. Octa saved with a scrap of life there. Double molly. If they get whiff of exactly where they're, but Crypto's creeping up, man.
Crypto is creeping up, and I don't think Alter Ego has an idea where he is. Octa is looking in this direction, but he's also focused on his back because there's so many shots happening here. If Trippo stands up, he's going down immediately. He knows it, so he has to snake it the whole way.
He saw Potato. He did see Potato from his third person, unless he was looking in another direction. But anyway, we've got him now. Big push in here from Vampire.
Here we go. Stone applying the pressure onto Box, looking to finish him out, and they do.
Whoa.
Vampire taking out every single player on the edge. They are on fire right now.
Like that, a click of the finger, and they were gone. That was brutal to look at there. Vampire, what a great push by them. Man, I don't know how the other teams are going to be able to respond to this. DRS, Twisted Minds, Alter Ego, on the opposite side of this, they're going to crunch down on one another, and Vampire's just going to clean up the scraps.
I mean, look at the difference. Every single player is laying down, trying to survive. Meanwhile, Vampire standing up, just applying crazy pressure, saying, we don't need the tall grass. We just need this M4, baby. Tony K forwarding on in. Gante does get knocked, though. Maybe a double knock is tough for Ravenclaw. Does pick him up in the meantime, and that is DRS out, so now it is down to a 2v2.
Maybe too bold, though. Who knows? Because losing those two players really takes away a lot of your advantage. Going to try and get Schweppes up here, but they do have some nades in hand. If they're in nade range, this could be deadly here for Vampire. The circle's pushing them. They have to move away from this rock before Alter Ego has to move themselves.
Octa applying the pressure.
He's holding it. Hold the angle.
Hold the angle. Just keep on that suppressive fire. Let Papa Blue do the work for you. And this should be an easy dub for Alter Ego. Meanwhile, Vampire going out at the end of it. A brilliant performance for them regardless. And honestly, that was one zone where you got blessed. That was not easy to win.
No, definitely not. The Tiamba push was scary there for Alter Ego, but they were able to persevere through the oppression that was coming their way in a lot of this. And again, you've got to be really steadfast about holding on to your utility. I keep repeating it, man, but when it comes to a zone like that, and Vampire getting so eager about their advantage that they had, that was the end of them there. Tony K going down on that angle, Vampire was too confident in that one, man.
I think they tried to do a little bit of a heat check situation, right? They were like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stand up. I'm unstoppable. And then Ravenclaw just runs, gets bodied, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, we're in big trouble here. And yeah, if they would have played it a little slower, they would have possibly won the game. But you know what? That is Vampire Esports. That's what got them here in the first place. Yep. Guys, a lot more action right ahead of you guys. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Well, they came close in the first match, but they closed things out in match 2. Alter Ego take home a chicken dinner, and again, a lot of points to boot. But there's some other teams out there we have to start to talk about here at Maxman and Several Worlds Gaming. Well, other teams, it's pretty much just the same team. Yet again, Vampire, man, able to put in some serious work there, sweeping up the edge of the zone, while Alter Ego instead were cleaning up the center of the zone. And those two teams in tandem taking home a lot of points.
Yeah, and that nade from Tony K, especially right onto 628, that was such a good play when they were trying to rotate around the southern western edge, and then they transitioned onto Falcon, a really good third party. And that's what we talked about on the pre-show, right? Vampire Esports playstyle we saw in the All-Star stage can very easily be successful against some of the best teams in the world in the main tournament, and it's already been proven here on this second match.
And I feel like you mentioned too, the grenade from Tony K allowed them to be able to pick up his teammate, then have all 4 players still alive, and being able to just run through everybody. We were able to see, I mean, when they went up against Box Gaming, they were able to get rid of them just so quick. Close my eyes, open them again, Max, and then we're gone.
Pretty much, they just disappeared, poof, and they're gone. Actually, I'm surprised Alter Ego did not die to nades, though, because there were so many teams close to them. Their position is so nadeable, but there's so many cards you can somewhat dodge that. How many cards were there? Like 6, 7?
Jason asked me this, but I can't say it on camera.
There was way too many. There were 7 cars on brand.
7.
Yeah, nice.
I'm surprised you missed out on that, actually, because I instantly caught on. Why am I hoping you can stay on brand?
You will. Nice.
Okay. Well, the Honor Magic 5 Pro, powered by Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, an Honor self-developed GPU Turbo X is the device they're using. A big shout out to them for helping sponsor this event. To take a look at the match rankings as well here in just a second to see how many points, obviously, all the teams here in this lobby did accomplish. And look at that. Vampire actually coming out ahead with 22.
Are we surprised? I'm like, are we surprised with that one? Because they were just going through everybody.
Look at the point difference, though. 22, 21, 8.
It is very top-heavy. I think it's fair to say that Alter Ego and Vampire Esport setting a standard here for the very first wrangle. But Alter Ego, too, we're talking about how they wrapped up this game. We've got to talk about how they approached the early game, playing from heavens. If the circle went there, it was, I think, a possibility, again, for them to get the chicken dinner in case of an Eastern shift. So they were really making sure they were setting themselves up for success, because that position, heaven, impossible to breach in later stages.
Yep, and with GK too, we saw, once again, getting into an early fight with D+ Kia. That is the second time. That is back-to-back matches that they've been able to do that. And something that I wanted to mention too, we saw that in the top 3, it was DRS. Even though they didn't have those crazy elims, I feel like they're just gathering information right now. This is what I was talking about. I feel like we're going to be seeing a DRS from day 1 All-Stars. That's exactly what they're going to be mimicking here today. And tomorrow, day 2, is when we're going to start seeing that firepower out of them.
I'm surprised. How did they not see Giante when you had Vampire trying to cross the road? If Vampire don't lose that player and they're able to get the road cross, pretty much they have 2 angles onto Alter Ego. They win the game. But Giante just got that little surprise factor that was a bit too much to deal with at the time.
Well, as we take a look at, obviously, Alter Ego taking home the bacon here, I guess the chicken, let's actually take a look at their player stats when we can to get an idea of who was really standing out for the team, because we saw Potato do some serious work in the first match, obviously, the last man alive for his team, obviously able to close out the game. But we need to get an idea of, like, where are the stars? Where's the fragging power coming from? And we saw Rosemary as well, able to put up the big numbers, but this time it's Octa, the 1250 damage.
Yeah, what's the transition from damage into eliminations I really want to see? Going to be 9 on this
That is a great conversion right there.
Woo. I mean, most eliminations on the entire main tournament. He could be getting up there. He could try and beat top. Action, actually, sorry, from Star Wars.
Yeah, we were just predicting at the start.
I read the script.
We really want him to get it. Not just kidding.
I look at Rosemary,
yeah,
and I think of one thing.
Oh.
But I can't say it on air. But you know what I'm talking about. Something related with the collaboration currently going on in PUBG Mobile.
That's why I did the earlier. I was like, oh, that could be a reference.
Wait, but that we can't use.
We can't use? It's a reference.
There's your reference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone understood.
Go ahead, Sam. What were you going to say? I cut you off.
What?
You were going to say something. I cut you off.
No, that was the reference.
Okay. Well, Rosemary, though, putting them some serious work this event.
I do have something to say. They're playing the fight. This is what we're talking about. I wonder if these 2 teams are going to keep doing the same thing, because they just keep hot dropping each other. I'm going to put you on the spot, Max. Do we think they are going to hot drop each other again next match?
Please not. Please don't. Just don't do it.
They got to concede at one point, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, right, you're already 2 games in. You've got 18 matches. 2 times they drop on one another. Game number 1 in Paradise Resort. DK, unfortunately, falter. Do not make it out of that fight, and it's full eliminations going the other way. Now DK win it. But the thing is, you're just, by doing so, eliminating your average you can get, and you're just staying at the low end of the rankings.
Something to keep in mind is, though, between those 2 hot drops, the team that won was able to keep all their 4 players alive. So that leads me to believe that they are probably going to hot drop each other again. And then after that one, they're more than likely going to end up conceding.
It's head-to-head on the day, by the way, between these 2 teams.
Okay, all
3 damage difference.
I mean, that's crazy. That's pretty much identical. Same with the limbs. Let me guess the heals. It's going to be probably the exact same, too.
About 100 healing range, something like that. I mean, they didn't have time to heal.
Over under. Oh,
no, a little bit different. Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but Stop fighting.
So, yeah,
Please.
somebody's got to concede. I mean,
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop it, Max. we've seen already 2 teams being able to concede a spot, and that is going to be G Gladiators. They actually decided to go with Severny, which was the big question mark for me because we saw the playing path being towards the north. I was like, okay, is it going to be?
Well,
are we going to be getting into an ego fight here? And they went Severny.
They did drop Severny, and Mezexis was there, if you think back to the All-Star stage, and then they lost a player to Mezexis. So I don't think it's too different, but it's nice to see they have like 3 different drop zones on Erangel, right? Like near Fairy Pier, George, and then obviously Severny. But yeah, having multiple locations can definitely help out. But unfortunately for them, it didn't work out in the end. But one team it did work out for is Vampires. We'll dive yet again into their player stats and see if Tony K is doing it yet again.
Oh,
pretty close in damage between him, Schweppes, and Stone though.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and Ravenclaw once again getting those angles, trying to set up the team with some strong information game, trying to scout that intel. But
Look at Stone.
Man. Stone and Octa really just standing out heavily in this game here, 7 very clearly. And yeah, but that sweeping edge play style has been working
Where's
so
your boy
well.
Action?
Yeah, Mad Boy Action. Not there right now, but he'll come eventually.
He was so proud to see Stalwart in the first game.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be more. There'll be more.
Yeah.
He was like, we're going to tap. He's like, no, leave my boys alone.
Please, let them win. No.
Are you wearing the jersey under?
We'll have to see later. Maybe I do.
Okay.
You're Max, you realize you're doing something that can only like hurt you because either you have to prove it or you don't prove it.
I'm not going to prove it. I never intended to.
I actually stole it from his luggage. But what about a head-to-head between our top 2 teams, which actually should be our top 2 teams if I think about it, with Vampire and LG. Actually, no, Stalwart. Maybe Vampire is not top 2 just yet, but our stats overall here, and surprisingly enough, Vampire actually 2900 damage.
Which is interesting, right? Because Alter Ego, with the position that they had in this last Erangel, being on Heaven, the way they were able to actually position themselves was so impressive to me that I'm actually surprised that they don't have a lot more damage than that. But 11 Illims.
Wow, 1700 healing though. I mean, that kind of tells the tale of like how they played it out, right? The Alter Eagle center and Vampire sweeping the edges.
They were tanking really hard. But Alter Ego, I mean, I understand why they were not doing as much damage and getting as many eliminations as a Vampire Esport. They were actively sweeping the edges because they were in Heaven, then in a dip. They can't be seeking out eliminations too often because you're also going to be using your resources, right? That utility, bullets, and you can't loot it up, so you just got to hold on to those resources because if you use too much of it, you're just out and you just can't fight anymore.
Jason, you were right.
Do I have a what?
You were right.
I was right. Of course I'm right. I'm always right. What am I right about?
Yeah, the top 2 teams.
Alter Ego in first place at 37, Vampire Sports at 28 in second, Stalwart at 22 here in third place. They did have a rough start. They lost a player to Agon X-I8. No, sorry, it was Secret. No, Secret. Where did that come from? Infinity IQ. I'll get there eventually. The funny thing was, Infinity IQ had a player run over in the initial make, and then the remake, Stalwart lose a player to the run over, and it was done by Infinity. Looking down the list, Reject, only 2 points. You know, I'm hyped for Japanese teams, but unfortunately, we're not really seeing it here.
Yeah, we got some big names on Reject too, but unfortunately, when it comes to international events, it's...
I'm getting PMGC flashbacks. PMGC flashbacks. With Reject not being able to perform, right?
I mean, the first 2 games, yeah. I mean, it's just 2 games, right? We're going to say that always on the first day. It's just 3, it's just 4, but there's
not for Alpha 7.
Yeah, there's not been a good trend of Reject doing well on global international events. Yeah, so we need to see them prove themselves if we want to start hyping them up.
For Alpha 7, that was their marker, right? We're giving them 2 matches. After this match, they need to start performing. If they even want to get a chance at winning. Yeah, I mean, it was. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah. I feel like 2 games is good enough for them because they already been playing. They had a bunch of excuses for All-Star. Now it's time to show up.
You know, I see 30 seconds on the timer before we get to next match. Now, whether I'm confident in that is a different question. So I'm going to bring up a topic that might drag us out past the 30 seconds of something I see in different esports, actually. It's about a team playing down to the lobby's level or the other team's level, or rising up to playing to a different level, rising to another team's level, or setting the pace. And right now, I actually wonder, for the 2 teams coming in from PEL, are they playing down to the lobby? Because they seem to be struggling so far that I did not expect.
I think they're having to readjust.
Yeah, I mean, Tiamba is doing some very desperate plays. They're very reactive instead of being proactive. I want to see Tiamba, more specifically, be proactive and trying to set up some game-winning plays a little bit earlier, if possible.
I mean, 6-8, we talked before, they've had international experience before. Tiamba hasn't really had international experience. And when everyone talks about PUBG Mobile and talks about the top echelons of it, it's always China. It's always PEL. I mean, hell, you can win $700,000 for winning PEL. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be China #1, but that was before PMGC, really, right? And now currently the competition is just so much tighter on PMWI, on PMGC, that I feel like that's not the case anymore. Now you actually have to fight for those top positions if you're coming through from PEL, so we'll have to see. But right now, these two teams need to prove themselves once more.
I think they're going to need a couple more matches to adjust to it.
Especially Chamba. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean, right? When you look at these lobbies, like you could have the best team that we look at S2G, like they were the best team in the world. PMGC, not to keep hammering home at them, but they're the perfect example. They come into the All-Star stage and they kind of, whether or not they played well or bad, that's not the point I'm trying to make, is like they didn't dominate the lobby like expected. Vampire, they were the ones setting the pace. They obviously knew they could do it before from PMWIs. They've had good results in this year, and they set the pace for everyone else. And no one else was really able to rise up to their ranks because they finished 30 points plus ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
And going into these games, you look at some of these teams, and on paper, they have really good results in the respective regions, but when hitting these national events, they can't seem to set the pace themselves. They're the ones always seem to play catch-up. And right now, like Vampire is one of those teams who's just showing everyone what to catch up to.
One of those teams. You mentioned that so perfect, too, that right away I thought of Alpha 7, a team that's not being able to set the pace. Like, we're used to being able to see. Yeah, they always set the pace. I mean, even in America, we're like, okay, Alpha 7 is just going to run through everybody. Right now, that's not the case.
I mean, you have even teams like in Europe, right? You're going to have the side of Fireflux more specifically. There's the one setting the pace, and teams need to adapt to the very aggressive playstyle of Turkey and just the entire region as a whole, except S2G just having a rough time. But yeah, you have to adapt to the teams that are currently at the top, that are setting the pace. Vampire is one of those teams as of right now.
I mean, Reject is another perfect example. They like pretty much dominated their region. They had almost like 100 and some odd points ahead of everyone else that could have contended for this position. They come in here, last place. They're used to setting the pace, they're used to controlling, dominating their own region, but you take them into national events, and that's where they have to, I think, grow a completely, entirely different skill set to be able to play at this level. It's not necessarily about you can dominate, it's about like, can you adapt? Can you play from behind? Can you play when these teams are at such a higher level than you're used to?
The bigger question mark, and you said that too, is can they adapt? How fast can they actually adapt? Because you don't want to be adapting on day 3, which sometimes we do end up seeing, and we're like, oh man, it would have been great if this happened like early day 2 and not here at on the final match of day 3. I feel like that always tends to happen, and for Reject, I don't think they're actually able to adapt in time, at least based on previous international events.
For them, I feel like the South Korean team, the Japanese teams are mostly renowned for their strong macro play. They're really good at understanding the map, what POIs are going to be of interest in every specific scenario. I feel like their gunplay is lacking when it comes to these big events. So I feel like if you're taking a 4-on-4 and you have your Reject or like other Japanese teams, they tend to struggle a bit more. And macro you can modify pretty easily, I would say, on these big events. But gunplay, that's a long-term investment you need to work on, and it might be too long.
They run into this caveman teams where they're like, I smash, and they just power through them.
I mean, pretty much, that could be it, yeah.
It actually kind of worries me if we're talking about just the raw mechanical skill that they can win based off macro play. But as we know, with the change point system, with it not being 15 or even 20 points for chicken dinner, thinking back real far, you have to have everything to be able to be the best team. You have to have the gunplay, you have to have the macro. And you would feel like the gunplay is actually probably one of the easier parts, or at least I would assume, because you can go train that really easily. Macro, you have to experience a lot of matches to figure out what to do right and what to do wrong. And well, we're going to do something right. We're going to head over to our commentators with Hot Jukes and Klaris to take us in to our second Aerigo of the day, match 3.
That's right. That's right. Here we go into match number 3. Heading it straight into Aerigo. Man, this playing path looks familiar.
It does, doesn't it? And so all these teams, we're going to see if there's any adjustments, though. That's what my eyes are on here, Hot Jukes. What happens over by Rozhok? I think D plus Kia, I think that they're smart players. I think they bail from what we saw at the start of the previous one. What do you think?
I think so, too. You want to avoid all hot drops possible. I mean, especially if you are D plus Kia. So trying to go for that vehicle, definitely don't think that's going to be the play. But I'd be interested to see if they decide to do the same. It looks like they are looking to stretch a little bit further south.
Not surprised in the slightest here. They'll have themselves some room potentially. But meanwhile, players are already down, man. Jeez, Box was down super fast here. Got themselves some vehicles below Yaz and going to be taking them on in. So very, very quick to all of it. But look, a GK might be trying to push on this.
Let's see if they're going to.
No,
not going to happen. Yeah, Box is going to go ahead, get in their vehicles, head on over to Yaznaya.
Ooh.
Oh, boy! Look at that circle.
Yeah, now this is an interesting one because whilst we see all these teams drop down, there is the potential, a small potential, but a potential that military could still be included here. There's so much water that it does accelerate the game pace a little bit. So most teams will commit to the mainland, but oh, Vampire knocked. Where are you knocked?
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's going to be in Crates in South George. So Vampire having one of their players get knocked could be by either Alpha 7 or by Fireflux. We'll find out here in a little bit. Maybe we might even see that deadly Primorsk water circle.
Oh, man. No.
Come on.
Oh,
bring it down.
Oh, jeez.
Bring it all the way down to the south.
It's been a while since I've seen it. It's scary.
Talk about competitive, baby. That's what we want to see. Hey, you know what? I took a swim in the pool this morning. So
you did?
I think I would like to see some players possibly do the same. Schweppes is knocked, but you can see Stoned got that buggy. He's going to go ahead and take it right on over to him. Oh, he was trying to get that. He was trying to get the vehicle for himself.
Yeah.
So that is why he got knocked in the process. Solus, I think, is out of ammunition.
Yeah, and I also think he was working with just a red dot, so Schweppes is kind of far away for that shot to be perfectly lined up. So understandable that he won't be able to get the full confirm on that one, as we do have them still kind of posturing for the moment. I think ultimately, Solus with that M16 was just, okay, right, okay, I'll bail on the shots. I'll look for a better scope. Maybe I can actually get something going, but by that time it's too late.
Yeah, I think he was just very happy with just getting the knock and delaying their loot time. Just disrupting Vampire just a little bit. Plus, what that also does is it makes Vampire so much more paranoid going for that vehicle. So, I mean, just any kind of mind games that you can play at this stage, you're happy with. Fireflux said, you know what, I'm not going to get the confirm. Let me just get back to looting and move on from there.
Definitely so. 2023, the PMWI crate is available from July the 15th to August the 15th as well. And also you can check out the Esports Center for much more that is going on currently. So make sure to do that. But, you know, as we take a look at stock at the game here, Stalwart back down where they go. They've got Novo to themselves. There's just a little part of me that I feel like some teams might still stay on military. It's such a low chance that the circle would go there. But, you know, maybe some teams linger. Maybe.
It's such a gross play to stay, to be honest. Because if that zone goes back north, you're just stuck with your team and in the most horrific bridge ever. You're just like, do we really got to cross this bridge right now? And it's just so risky. So I wonder what Stalwart is going to do. Are they going to go ahead and stay in military? Yeah, it's inside the zone, but really?
Is it really?
Is it really? Then again, if that zone does pop over there by some, Christmas miracle, you are so good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you're talking about, an extremely low % chance of it happening. So I'm musing it, I'm entertaining the idea, but I do know how low that chance is. But anyway, as we turn our attention over to Rozhok, seems like GK have been very happy to win out the scenario in terms of even just the drop alone. But I mean, let's look at what D plus Kia has gained from, avoiding that fight. I mean, they're in school, they're in apartments, they're in like that mini Pachinki area north of Pachinki that will garner them enough loot as well. So you circumnavigate the problem of a hot drop and you find yourself still a central decent spot.
100%. 100%. And that spot is getting taken by the second here as the zone is starting to get a little bit closer and closer. There's 3 minutes on the clock, and we're already starting to see majority of the spots going to be taken here in the next couple of minutes. Teams still kind of taking me a little patient with their looting. They want to go ahead and make sure that they're all set up for the rest of the game. But, Stalwart, Team Falcons, even Ultra Ego are going to have a long rotation here.
You talked about a concept yesterday, which was like how you drive and how close you stay to your teammates.
Correct.
I think Dami is probably regretting at present being this far away from his teammates because he had some shots going towards him. You can see him falling back for the moment. He's actually going to get out of his car and shoot straight towards 628. This could be a confirmed. No, it will not be a knockdown there for the moment. He's thankfully had the rest of his team rendezvous with him, but he was very far away. I was scared for him myself.
100%. Yeah, that's it's such a small part of this game, but it could actually be huge. If you have your team closer together, maybe they were able to jump off, both shoot at him, get a knock and an elimination, which could have helped them out in the end game. But, unfortunately, if you're too spread apart, then not able to kind of get that assistance. There's that perfect in between because you don't want to be too close together either, because if you're too close and there is a team waiting for you, your whole squad can get wiped rather than just one player.
Spray transitions can be easier from car to car, right, vehicle to vehicle, but at the same time, there is something to be said for, okay, you want your scout out in front, that happens, that's fine. It doesn't have to be miles out in front. You can still get the same information and still have your other 3 guys safe while still kind of being close. So, but I mean, they're all okay. We are just talking hypotheticals here now for the moment. Always good to get kind of these thoughts out there whilst there's a little bit of a lull in all the gunplay, all the action.
You know what, speaking of thoughts, I'll tell you what's on all these players' mind right now. It's that prize pool. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
So much money. And, you know, these teams that are currently at the bottom had a slow start. There's still a lot of games left to be played, but not necessarily, because you do not want to wait to the end like we mentioned. So I think this is going to be a very important game for teams like Alpha 7 on the bottom of that leaderboard, because it's crazy. I mean, 4th place, $100,000.
I'll take that.
3rd, $125,000.
Okay, I'd rather take that.
And then a $75,000 jump to 2nd with $200,000, and then a $200,000 jump to 1st place with $400,000. That is crazy.
I've decided which one I want.
Yes.
The 1st place.
I think that's the one I would take as well. If I had a choice, that's the one I would like.
Yeah, okay. So we've got to exert some, you know, energy to get there. Let's see if any of these guys are going to be able to hopscotch their way towards it. We'll see, we'll see. As the circle is closing rapido, and Stalwart, Falcons, and Gladiators are still the teams here, completely in the blue. There are a few other teams with members on in, as they're trying to scramble their way forwards.
I like that rapido there, dude. I think I'm rubbing off on you.
I try. I'm trying to, you know, endear myself to you,
That's what I'm talking about.
Be part of your cult. No,
That's right. That is right. I had some eggs and toast for breakfast, so, you know.
Some baked beans.
Some baked beans. Yum, yum. Yes. Cheerio. No, I'm kidding. Here we go into this next circle. Where is it going to go? Are we going to see that toxic water zone?
Oh.
Okay.
You squealed.
I sure did. Because it's still... Hey, so you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance. I'm not liking that chance, but there is a chance.
What chance is Vampire kicking themselves right now? Because normally they drop Primorsk.
Yeah,
right?
well,
So they're just like, oh, I wish I was there right now so bad.
Yeah, it's rough, right? I mean, trying to deal with, of course, at 628 down there as well. This is a replay.
Oh, okay. A little rollover.
This is an interesting replay. You know what? I appreciate that replay. We'll do that.
I like it. I like it. You know what? Sometimes you got to make sure that the roll cage on your buggy is secure.
Yes. You know, roll cage is very, very important. And, well, I wish some of these other vehicles would have roll cages if they were real vehicles,
100%.
but they're not. So, you know, we're fine.
Definitely wish to have one as well. But you know what? I would also like some reinforced tires, because these buggies, 2-3 shots, that tire's out, you're spinning out.
They ain't got them.
And you're in big trouble. But
these are marshmallow tires, but speaking of marshmallow, he's gonna get roasted over here. What a great little angle he's taken.
Kai Dao, is he able to go ahead and help out his teammate? He needs one more knock here. Meanwhile, the rest of Tianba looking to put that pressure, but they're not in a position to help their teammates at all. Actually, both of them did get knocked. Here comes the rest of Infinity IQ to take them out.
Let's go for the spray.
Great shots.
Very, very nice indeed here, as Tianyu moving up to try and reinforce this position. But here comes the buggy. He actually evades it and also evaded the nade. Is he going to be able to get this? No, he will not. Bensu coming on in. Tianba out in 16th. And it does give rise to the idea of, they were saying it on the desk, so far, it's only a few games in, but the PEL team's not exactly had the easiest of times. We'll turn our attention to 628 to see if they can do something in a circle like this, because it is good for them.
That was so gross. Oh my goodness. I mean, we almost saw one of the members from Infinity IQ get naded by his teammates.
Almost.
Yeah, he just barely avoided it with that buggy. That would have been honestly nuts. Let's take a look here at 628. Oh, wow. It's going to take out Duelo there from Reject Tokyo. Man, they have just been losing players early on all day today.
And defending their home. I mean, they've walked into the Dragon's Den here when it comes to this. 628, they will defend it quite heavily. And also, they're taking those decent off angles on the hill that overlooks Primorsk, so that you have an opportunity here to be able to provide some strong cover fire. as long as the other members of 628 stay on, this side of Primos to get things going.
Yeah, 628's definitely going to have an advantage here. I mean, since this is their drop location, they're going to have that little extra edge of just knowing all the extra little cheeky off angles. They know this place like the back of their hand.
Yep.
They've looted it so many times. So they're looking to find that here. Let's see where this next zone does go. I want to see another hard shift. Come on. This is the main tournament. Let's get it extra toxic all the way down south.
Ooh.
Okay, it goes all the way to the west side. We haven't seen this zone in a long time.
Yep, there's some compounds alongside that that beach on the far west side that actually sometimes, I mean, if we keep getting hard shifts, would actually be quite valuable. At the same time, though, the woods and the farmhouse still in play. I think maybe, if I'm correct, looking at this map, it's hard to tell. Fireflux might have taken up that position that I'm talking about. Looks like they are just over that ridge. That's quite strong as well, so we'll see if they can convert from there.
Lighthouse still in play as well. Alpha 7 holding the beach side of things. Meanwhile, look at 628 looking to do something similar and take some of this high ground. A lot of hills in this area, and this is what's so scary for these teams, because when you have the hills this large, sometimes you want to offer those 2-2 splits, 3-4 splits, but at this stage, at this high level, it is super risky to do so.
It's about to get wild. There's way too many players alive for this kind of circle here, so all of these teams are going to try and crash on through, maybe play it slowly a little bit on some areas of this edge, but you need to find yourself a dip, a divot, anything you can find, but for a lot of that, we're in the swamp as well. I mean, there's opportunities to find small little areas where you can.
Wow, Alter Ego with a very bold rotation do secure a place here. And meanwhile, they do get beat up in the process. You can see Tony K throwing out some smokes, looking to make the push here.
Yeah, that's really bold and actually kind of crazy. But, I mean, they might make it work with the smoke trail that they're throwing down. Killer going for a spray on Star Warp. They're actually going to take little casualties already.
Trying to hold that rooftop position and get those angles. He's going to go down to Icy. And that's going to make things that much more difficult for them. Stalwart doing a great job. Trades going back and forth between Stalwart and DRS. Delta looking to hit this nade. He really needs to. It looks good.
It does look good.
Made in the bank on a silver platter. He misses it. Can he thread it through the door?
He thought they were in the shack. If they were in the shack, that hits, but they were behind it slightly, so they were playing with their opponent's expectations as to whether or not it was going to be good. DRS falling for the trap. Oh, he sees him. Dead to rights.
Yeah, speaking of trap, I mean, just falling straight into it. Delta, can he get the 1v2? One more shot. Jump shot there from Stalwart. Does it hit? And Delta going to go ahead and use that broken wall to get a first aid off. So DRS Gaming absolutely crushing Stalwart Esports.
Delta's played this fight really well, and Action's the off angle that just doesn't really have an angle on this from the long woods. So they've been kind of separated quite heavily in this fight. DRS has done a pretty good job of it. Icy still here.
Let me ask you the question, right? If you're DRS here, do you push and try to get that extra elimination on Icy, or do you cut your losses and try to get into this next circle?
I think if you try and get into this next circle, you open yourself up to Action very quickly on the angles. So I think you probably have to finish this off and probably leave Action to his lonesome and then move.
All right, well, we'll see what Carrillo's going to do. And I'll tell you what, he's going over with some nice runovers onto Reject Tokyo, which have had a really rough start here in this tournament. So far, holding up the goose egg. It's just Sara left, and he is wishing his team was holding the shack with him, which would have been a really good spot in this zone. But unfortunately, all his team is out of there, and I'm surprised to see him actually even leaving that shack.
Yep, gonna try for it as we see DRS here actually being blasted by Icy. Icy is able to deal with this so heavily. They tried to leave, as you posed the question, but you can't leave when you're leaving people on off angles, leaving behind. They will just kind of cause you absolute devastation, and Icy was able to do so.
This is exactly why we talked about it a little earlier, right? If they would have just pushed, took out Icy, got the elimination, they would have had a clear push inside. But instead, they prioritized rotation, and now they're paying for it big time. They lost pretty much everybody.
Action has a spot in the circle as well. Icy could maybe send to. It depends if he has a vehicle, but anyway, we're seeing Infinity IQ trying to dislodge the position of Gladiators. A lot of nades going forwards. That one's way off the mark. They don't have full information, clearly, with a throw like that. DRS is gone.
Oh, DRS eliminated, so a mistake coming out from them. Hopefully they're able to fix that in a future match. You know, every time I see these nades, I start thinking about what you talked about earlier, right? How important it is.
Expending them.
Yes, to hold on to them for that late game. Those blind nades just, oh man, they come to really bite you in the end.
They can. They really can. Maybe he had some different information earlier and then trying for it, but as we look back, you can see a great play by Delta coming in. You can see on the minimap in the top right as well just how far action was. He's trying to hit some shots against this wall, but when there's only so many small spots in the wall to try and hit that shot and your opponent's bouncing around with a DBS against a close-range opponent, it's hard to hit them.
Yeah, and that's what really separates, I think, these insane top players versus great players, right? The ability to find that beautiful off angle that's able to support your teammate no matter what. Sometimes you can find a decent one, but if they're behind a broken wall like that, there's not really anything you can do. So, yeah, I think that he maybe figured that he had his teammate covered, but wasn't able to do so. So that's kind of tough. Let's see where this next zone's going to go, though. 1 minute left on the clock. We got a little bit of a standstill. This is the calm before the storm.
Oh, yeah, definitely is. Icy's trying to thread the needle all the way through GK to get to action. And it looks like he's going to be successful with it. He got quite far. And shot's going to be coming in, though, from Meku against Box. They still need to have a little bit of a movement themselves and actually get rid of Box before they can really make a meal of this.
And let's see what Box is planning to do. They are holding the north side of that circle. They do have that entire road up ahead of them, a lot of different checkpoints that they can go to in order to do that, but they got to leapfrog. They got to cover each other and push little by little. Meanwhile, you got Gladiators, Kitsune on the other side of the north here with the rest of his team. Buggy's on fire. Going to have to make a push, most likely into Infinity IQ in the next few seconds.
Where are we going? If Fireflux gets this on their compound, I swear. That farm compound is so strong. The only vulnerability it has really is actually where Infinity IQ is, as the circle's about to pop.
See where it goes. Are we going to see it head on over to...
Oh, it's in.
It's pretty dead center here, so Fireflux not going to move a muscle for now. Meanwhile, Vampire finding that center position along with Alter Ego. So they are looking to just kind of share those compounds and just wait it out. Very, very strong decision from both these teams.
Alongside the swamp, those two can see one another, and they've not. Vampire really wanted to push and get rid of them earlier on, but they didn't do so whilst that stalwart fight was going on. You see Twisted Minds here down south trying to get rid of 628. They, unfortunately for them, with a circle like this, which I would consider a decent circle for their drop spot, have been kind of slow on the uptake down at the south and haven't been able to really get much going there.
No, you could see an off angle from Sunan on 628 on the west side of the map. So you could see them just trying to hunt down a position, but at a certain point, they're going to have to make the push, just like we saw D plus Kia do, but Satan was just waiting for him.
Yeah, very, very scary. 628 might try and just barrel into the position of Twisted Minds, but likewise, I think Alpha 7 is also thinking to make a move now. So there's one really important location here that I need to talk about, which is technically, yes, Fireflux's compound's really good, but the most important part about their compound is having people also above it perched, so you don't allow teams to get a high ground overlook on you. That's why we're seeing some of them, like Soul K and Solus, take that spot. But here comes a fight.
Here comes a battle here as we're starting to see 628 desperately trying to find a position in the zone. They're going to have to do it the hard way. They're going to have to push up onto Twisted Mind. Here we go, Esteez. I think he accidentally ran into that tree, but was able to get away for the time being. He did get a lot of information for his team. I think they realized that Twisted Mind is hurt, so I'm not surprised if we see them push this. Yep, here they come.
Goes for an 8. Both teams charging it up. Good to go. He was already able to hit a little bit on them. And at the same time, trying their best here is Gladiators against Box. It's a very slow fight down towards the bottom. Rejects goes down, though.
Yeah, Reject Tokyo eliminated. That's still 12 teams remaining. We transfer on over to this battle. We're going to watch Box Gaming throw some smokes here. Getting prepared for a push that we'll see probably in the next 3 or 4 minutes. I'm really interested to see this fight, though. Here we go. Easy, holding the shack down with that DBS. The angle's coming in, though, from Zing. He's going to hit these shots eventually, though. Yep, here they go. Molly comes up from Easy. Very well executed from 628.
Yeah, forces him out with the burn, and Roll Kiss here in the distance as well. They know where he is. He's also being shot from a Mafioso. Alpha 7 is rocking up on this fight. They could clear out 628.
Alpha 7 had their ears all the way up. They heard that third party, and all it took was a nade to finish that off. And Alpha 7, with some beautiful timing, clear out the entire south side of the circle.
Opportunistic. Love it. This is a great move from them to be able to get themselves well on the board. Meanwhile, still Gladiators and Box holding each other dead to rights up at the top. You can't move that much into those fields, because if you do as both of these teams, you'll find yourself in lines of sight of Fireflux, in lines of sight of potentially some of the Vampires members as well. They're going to try and make the move a little bit forwards, keep their cars in the circle as time goes on, but it's a ticking time bomb. I don't know how they solve this without opening themselves up to a lot of the lobby.
You have to make a commitment at a certain point. I think they have to just go ahead and go over that hill with that US and commit on Gladiators. But at the same time, I think they want to see some teams go out first to possibly secure themselves at least a couple of placement points. Next 2 teams to go out, Kalaris, goose egg in placement points.
Rough stuff here. GK looking over towards Falcon as well. Gets the pixels of just ahead bobbing about. Goes for some shots, doesn't quite hit things, but Falcon has got some fear in him here.
Falcons looking to...
Big commit.
Yes, huge commitment here from GK. They're going to be making that full send on into this next circle, most likely looking to push the Falcons. Meanwhile, Vampire up onto Box, battling it out as Box tried to make that send. They lose a couple players with that blind rotation.
Yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton, and it's not really going to work out for a Box. I mean, they go ahead of Gladiators, hoping that this little lip is going to work out for them, but they were completely shut down. And again, it was Vampires that actually were able to get some of those winning shots on them, as GK once again spraying violently at Falcons. One team has to come in from this angle. Which one's it going to be?
Ragnar just doing some blind shots through the smoke and does connect, and I believe that is Team Falcons out of there.
GK, some great shots coming in here, just understanding there's only a few spots that their opponents could be in. Not only ransack that, but here comes Gladiators as well, trying to ransack the position of Fireflux, and they're gone as fast as they enter. It's a strong compound. They're holding it down well with the 2-2, and this could be a winning position if they're able to carry it forward into fields later on.
So yeah, just trying to push against this squad, it ain't going to be easy. And meanwhile, we see Alter Ego, who's had a heck of a tournament so far, currently in first place, just happy to share this with Vampire. They say, nah, you guys look on this side, we'll look on this one, and we'll meet each other in the late game. These guys are doing a great job of holding this down.
That late game might come soon, man. I mean, with Alter Ego's compound slowly being pushed out here, it might come soon. We've got Soulgate as well, taking some shots, has to fall on back. The one thing that's great about this compound is you can just sit in between the compound and some of that terrain, and look at that. I mean, Alter Ego, I don't know. There's no way to be able to survive this.
Yeah, that zone popping off of them. Now the sharing the rent agreement has expired.
Yes,
so
we were evicted.
Vampire has served them their eviction notice and is making a pay. Meanwhile, Octa says, nah, I made some payments earlier on. I want a piece of this action. He's gonna throw some smokes, looking to press up here.
He's come back to pick up some of his belongings.
Yes, he is.
That's right.
Yes, he has. He says, I left some stuff here. You have to let me back in. Rosemary saying the same thing, saying, nah, we were roommates. Come on.
This is going far.
Give us the keys. Give us the keys. But Vampire, cease and desist delivered.
And there may be a cease and desist from Soulcate for a second. No, he's not going to take those shots. Ducks on behind. Rosemary's not willing to take the shot, the long-range shot from across. Probably could have finished him, to be honest, or at least knocked him, I should say.
Yeah.
But Solus still trying to hold this lip. As I say, this is the one vulnerability that this compound has. They don't have anybody on that side. They're going to be very concerned about how Alpha 7 is moving. Are they going to move hard west into them is the question.
Octa getting one. Meanwhile, Schweppes is right there at the tree. He does have a couple of nades. A beautiful Molotov comes out quick. That forces Octa to come out. And Schweppes serves the notice to Alter Ego as they're looking to possibly pass them up on the leaderboards.
The final notice.
That's right.
Get on out of there.
Get out of here.
And for now, we have Vampire, one knocked. They're going to have to try and move into the field south of them. There is a lip in terms of actually going for this, but GK moving up. That's very bold.
Flying on down the hill. And here comes GK with a full send. Meanwhile, Tony K looking to pick up some players on the action. Meanwhile, Action is holding down the shack, saying, nuh-uh, this is my place. This is my shack.
He's insane. He's insane. The S12K was doing a lot of work. Then he actually saw the feet as he came out of the shack. He knows he's there. He's charging up an 8. If he gets this.
Low toss?
If he gets this. Oh, he moved.
Oh! Pieces him up. Pieces him up.
Oh.
So close. Satan barely getting the better of him, but all his entire squad gone just like that.
Unbelievably close. You've got to be careful of those shotguns when you're going into a shack like that. Meanwhile, Lutz is going to pepper the position of Alpha 7, who did not go west. It's going to end up folding down to a Fireflux versus Vampire standoff here.
Lutz with a beautiful off angle. I mean, this guy has the spot. Meanwhile, Alpha 7 just stuck with their car wall. Oh, Solus looking for some toes.
Okay.
All eyes are on Alpha 7. They're getting picked apart. Yep, and just like that, they're gone.
And it was Vampire that shut it down. Already, Vampire seized the initiative. They moved up and took 2 hay bale locations against Fireflux, who have not seized any opportunity to try and get out of this compound. You can spray into these hay bales all you want, but if you get pushed by the blue here and Vampire survives behind those hay bales, it is going to be difficult for Fireflux to find a spot to claim that as their own in these fields.
Vampire very focused right now on taking this last player from GK Esports, Satan, holding the shack. That smoke is just there to blind them from throwing nades into those windows. He's going to go ahead and get out of that shack. A great play because he knows that utility is most likely coming his way. So Vampire, 2-2 split right now.
Yep.
Two players focused on Fireflux. Meanwhile, one focused on GK right behind him.
Exactly. You have to keep an eye on him. And Fireflux is going to move down with vehicles, use some of these smokes as well now to try and find themselves a spot. That looks like they're doing it successfully so far. Satan being in that spot makes it a little bit easier for Fireflux to make this move because they just don't have as many eyes on the Fireflux rotate.
Oh my gosh, that rotation for Fireflux makes things that much more difficult because now you have to focus on them instead of Satan from GK. So they are within nade range. Here comes Soul K. Throw in some util. He's got 3 nades and a Molotov to his name, so plenty of utility. Meanwhile, Satan left the shack. Where did he go? He's a magician. He's out of there.
Look at him. Crawling along. Sneaky snake.
Sneaky snake. He snuck out. He threw down that, almost like a ninja, throwing down that smoke and just ejected out of there.
I will say there's a slight curve on this field that allowed Fireflux to get out of there a little bit more unscathed than I thought they were going to. So that has helped them considerably. Nice nade to open things up.
Soul K with a huge nade. That was an eviction notice. Here it comes to one more. Right onto Schweppes. Schweppes down barely to 20% HP. You know he's got to have another.
Oh, no.
Oh, the beautiful anger from Soul K.
Oh.
Now it's down to 2 players left from Vampire.
They fanned out fantastically in this field, and they are not giving them a second's notice as another nade will come in, finishing them off here from Ketch. Going to be wildly spraying towards that, but it's not going to work on out here. Ravenclaw goes down as well. Fireflux is all over this one.
Tony K going down. That is Fireflux clutching up the win. Beautifully done for them. What a way to finish. I mean, Vampire Esports racking up a whole lot of eliminations, and not to mention Satan securing such a high placement. Those are some solid points for his team.
Definitely, definitely. Circle 2-3. I'm talking about Fireflux and that compound. That farm compound is extremely powerful in this location. They were able to defend it well, making sure teams were coming from the west to try and encroach on their territory, and then towards the east, there's nothing. You just able to finish it up here, Hot Jukes.
Yes, beautifully done indeed, guys. What a match. 3 more matches left to go today. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
All new Honor Magic 5 Pro. Freeze even fleeting emotions in just milliseconds. Take marvelous night shots with lightning fast exposure. The display reveals more details in bright areas with an astonishingly long battery life that just keeps going. The latest flagship chipset brings you exceptional performance. Unleash the power of magic. Honor Magic 5 Pro.
Open your eyes.
When you look into my eyes, tell me what do you see?
Tonight, I'm gonna show you the wonders of the mall.
Hey, I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose.
I need warriors.
Take everything, leave them with nothing. Paradise through dirt and change me, rewrite our history. I chose on my side, drawn the front line. You want a safe face, came to the wrong place. You raise a white flag, I give the V-side.
Разъебем. Разъебем. Сейчас будет жесткий секс. Да-да-да. Блядь, что за режим рации? Нахуя, блин?
Let's go.
Я тоже не знаю.
Я вот хочу, блядь, что нельзя только тиммейту, типа, говорить тобі, допустим? Че я должен всем, блядь, в общий чат итальянцев, охуянцев, блядь, ирландцев говорить, блядь, нахуй? Долбоёб, сука! О, блядь, ебана, что ты делаешь?
Watch out!
Спина.
Ну ёбаный рот, что ты сделал с гранатой, блядь?
Я гранату туда кинул.
Ты, блядь, пол хп снял.
Тобі?
Да, ты в стену попал. Ты же не попал, блядь, туда. Ты в стену попал, она скочила обратно.
У меня она по хитбоксу, значит, туда залетела. Привет. Тоді вибачай.
Ладно, похуй, насрать. Сейчас разъебем, да? Мы сейчас разъебем.
Только ты.
Ну, блядь, вот, нет.
Да.
Ты не с хуем, да. Все дела. Короче, советую брать миники и давать пизды. Чекай скин, чекай скин.
У мене такий же.
Ах, ты писька, да ты взял.
Диви.
Что, крутый? Да я взял такие.
Там де ти?
Тюма, не выпал с кейса, курва.
А я не знаю, звідки в мене.
Let's go.
Правильно, что тоже с кейс?
Папа, я не знал, что получится. Ты сразу попал.
Ми троє проти чотирьох граємо.
А, ёбаный рот. Давай
Нормально.
инфу.
У меня впритик.
И у мене тоже неси.
А, в домі.
Це у нас. В якому? Дай метку.
Marked a
Вот тут
location.
один есть.
Блядь, дай тебе. А, ебать, ты годен. А, ты второй, ёбаный рот. Ты второй. Сейчас дам.
ТПС
Отойди,
стреляет.
гранату, бро. Минуснул, минуснул. Сейчас
А, на. Меня пушат.
Я смотрю. Блядь, где ты? Блядь, это по, блядь, сзади сдохло. Ебать, пушка! Да, блядь, мне ебать разбили двое, сука. Ну что это, блядь, за оружие, нахуй? Этот юмп не дамажит нихуя. Давай, я верю.
Трындец, я
17
один
секунд.
против
Не
четверых.
чую эти. Тяни на ищу.
Тут ничего не может быть.
Выходи.
Да я, блин,
Бля.
навіть на раз не попав.
Бля, четвертый пидорас, бачу.
Я хотел
Надо камбэк.
ТПС, я не знаю.
Надо камбэк.
Трындец.
Пизда, пидорас, ебаный. Есть граната? Купи мне гранату.
У меня же нема.
Блять. Ладно. Только не взрывай машину, нахуй надо. Гранаты надо сейчас. Если не так, денег не
Так я машины с оружием
Let's
взрываю,
go.
а не гранатами.
Нихуя себе ты крутой, блять. Патроны дохуя.
Типа там чуть-чуть их взрывать, они так горят.
А, не, и так горят?
Ну.
Блять, ну заебал, долбоёб, сука. Идиот, нуб, ебаный, ФК, сука, тварь. Вон, видишь, бежит. По центру бежит. Забрал.
Хорош.
Вон еще один перескакивает.
Я надамажил справа.
Убил. Добил. Еще один. Добил его, вот.
Watch out!
Нокнул.
Сейчас, блядь, сука, еще звонят нахуй вовремя. А где последний? Блядь,
Я не
слева.
знаю.
Слева.
А метку можно?
Сейчас мне звонят.
Понял. Домой. Один.
Третій, якщо що, не чути. По телефону розмовляєш, так?
Let's go.
Да трындец! О! Ни разу не попал с ДБСочки. Перший спереді на криші. Трындец. Йой.
Let's go.
Watch
На
out!
приколе. А спереди.
Dead!
Домой! Да, хаешкой. На-на-на-на-на-на. Сядь, ты по телефону размовляешь, да? Махай головой. Да, не?
Let's go.
Я на крышу. У меня тут все, я не знаю, сколько их тут. Дай пройти. Трындец. Да ты, блин, умрел! Закрыли меня в окошке одну. Я хаишки взорвал. Опа. Трындец, я в этом месте первый раз. Капец. Я даже не знал, что это миссия. Трындец. Сейчас машина.
Let's go.
Хитал. А ну кто? Я нам ще не пропушую. Ну виходь з машини! Вона не... Вона з машини мене не виходила на... Управління чортове. Управління... Машину вийти не можу. Всем помощи.
$300. Чекаємо цього.
Let's go.
Чекай. Я вот не
No.
Правда. Чекай за мене. Все, ви можете дати мой бот.
Let's go.
Це чакіше. Та чапати за мене. Ну, най.
Help!
Really?
Enemies ahead!
Stable с камен. Stable с 46.
Help!
Sale uzima kam tala si kuća da fituje. Nu ga vzaju na go. Tădzi na do.
Help!
Nerede abi?
Help!
Let's go.
Killed! Help! Enemies ahead!
Let's go.
Team match, let's go.
The blue team has scored for the first time! Killed! Reloading! Cover me! Nice shot! Reloading! I need a weapon. Enemy down! Expired! Killing spree for the blue team! Clear! Cover me! Killed! Reloading! Cover me! Reloading! Clear! Cover me! The blue team is in the lead. No mercy! Reloading! Dad, cover me! Reloading! Enemy down! Cover me! Reloading! Cover me! Reloading! Expired! Cover me! Dad, reloading!
Great, you're about to win.
The blue team is about to win! Clear! Cover me! Half of The match is over, and the blue team is in the lead.
Blue team victory!
Cover me! Reloading!
Team match, let's go!
The blue team has scored for the first time! Clear! No mercy! Cover me! Marked a location. Dad! Marked a location. Target down! Cover me! Killing spree for the red team! Clear! Marked a location. Enemy down! The red team marked a location. In the lead. Clear! Kill! Reloading! Target down! Marked a location. Reloading! Killed! Cover me! Clear! Enemy down! Killing spree for the blue team!
Great! You're about to win!
The blue team is about to win! Reloading! Dead! Half of the match is over, and the blue team is in the lead. Cover me! Reloading! Enemy down! Killing spree for the red team!